Please note that this content is for adults only. Viewer discretion advised. If you haven't yet, hit the subscribe, like, and share. Hello everyone and welcome back to another live stream with me, Grizzly. This is Grizzly True Crime, and today we are looking at a case from 1986. But it was a cold case for 23 years, and it took 26 years to actually arrest someone and have them go to trial, and then they were convicted, okay? So many of you might know about this case because it is such a popular one and it's been covered over the years. You might have already seen the interrogation video. And in fact, if you are an OG, you saw it with me when I started my channel. When I had 500 subscribers, around there, we were less than 100 people in chat and we were watching it together. So I don't know if you remember that, okay? Now what I'm going to do today is first read you the latest news. Then we're going to do a full case recap as well as dive right into that interrogation video. And I've even got a video of Stephanie's brother. All right. So that's what we're going to do. I'm first doing the news because some people might already be like, yeah, I've seen all the other stuff. I hope you stay, but don't feel obliged. Happy birthday to Copper Horse, one of our fantastic mods over here. Copper Horse, what are you doing here on your birthday? If you guys want to go and leave Copper Horse some lovely messages, do that on the community tab. I put a birthday post up there and I see there's lots of kind comments. So thank you so much for that. And Copper Horse, I hope you had the best day. Welcome to all my moderators, patrons, members, OGs, and everyone that's lurking or might subscribe today. And let's get into this very snarky case, okay? So if you like it when, you know, snark it up a bit, this is one of those cases where it's like, oh man. Where the police were like, nah, man, it can't be one of our own. LAPD. Can't be, you know? And the victim's family was like, look at her. Like, nah, no, it's not one of our own. This was a cop who turned out to be something like, you know, the case we just looked at of Caitlin Armstrong, that she went on trial for the murder of Mo Wilson, the like love triangle type situation. Yeah, it's very similar to that. It reminds me quite a bit of that case. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is, let me show you the news first, as I said. This is the victim, Sherri Rasmussen. Okay, and she was murdered in February of 1986. Tracy is here, says, I have watched that interrogation many times. I love it. Right? Me too, many times. And I'm bringing it to you again today. All right. So, by the way, the intro that I played with all the bears, I'm glad you guys like it. I made those pictures using AI, and so did Van LeChimp. So it's combined pictures that we made using AI, in case you wonder. I just saw someone rolled in and was claiming that they were his pictures. No, I made those myself. Thank you very much. Okay, so here's the news article, okay? This is now what was on my radar, which is why you might be like, why are we talking about this case now? What's with this case now? Well, this popped up on my news feed because of this possible parole, which I'm stunned by because it's only been 11 years since Stephanie Lazarus was convicted and sentenced, and she got 27 to life. So what's with the 11 years, huh? Oh my goodness. Gerda, we're going to look at all those facial expressions. Oh yes. So a former Los Angeles police detective was, there's a hair on me, hold on. There we go. Okay. A former Los Angeles police detective was convicted of murdering her ex-boyfriend's wife in 2012. And ex-boyfriend's a stretch. In her head, it's ex-boyfriend. They never really officially dated, but okay. In 2012, more than 2 decades after Sherri Rasmussen was killed in a Southern California condo. But last month, parole officials concluded that Stephanie Lazarus, the former detective who was sentenced to 27 years to life in prison, is eligible for parole. And Rasmussen's relatives are outraged that the woman who hid the truth about the murder and continued to work as a law enforcement officer for more than 20 years, could go free. Lazarus, now 63 and incarcerated southeast of Los Angeles, pleaded not guilty during a trial and had not publicly admitted to her role in the 1986 killing until a parole suitability hearing on November 16th of this year. So again, that's why this is back in the news, because on November 16th of this year, she had a parole suitability hearing. So it's only the beginning of the process, right? And they say, according to two relatives who attended the hearing, Connie Rasmussen, Sherri Rasmussen's older sister, said in her family's first interview about the decision that while she acknowledged, and then for the first time, killing Sherri during the hearing, she did not apologize to relatives and appeared to downplay the seriousness of the crime, saying that she hadn't intended to kill Sherri when she went to the Van Nuys condo on February 24th of 1986. Lazarus was convicted, this is her, of first-degree murder, Connie said, but she appeared to describe her crime as a manslaughter. Oh, of course she did, right? Oh, man. Okay, so Sherri, a nursing director at a Los Angeles area hospital, was shot 3 times in the chest with a .38 caliber pistol and struck in the head with a ceramic vase, authorities have said. Her left arm had also been bitten. I was shocked, Connie, 69, said of the parole panel's decision. Sherri was that person that was giving back to the community, and she didn't deserve to be killed, and she deserves justice. Releasing Lazarus now, she said, is not justice for my sister. It's another slap in the face. She had 23 years to lie and to hide the evidence and to go on with her life when she could have turned herself in, said Connie's daughter, Jessica Pennell, 35, who also attended the parole hearing. When a parole commissioner asked Lazarus why she had not turned herself in, especially because she had taken an oath as a law enforcement officer, the former detective responded that she'd been afraid of getting caught, Pennell said. The decision from the parole panel is not final. So do remember that. This is a whole process. Okay, it works differently in different states, but generally it's the same. This is a parole suitability hearing that they had November 16th of this year. And they found that, okay, she could go to the parole board. And so they say it's not final. So it could be denied. And they also say it is subject to review by the full board within 120 days, which is actually quite a lot of days. And the governor has 30 days to weigh in on finalized decisions. A lawyer for Lazarus did not respond to a request for comment. A spokesperson for the agency that oversees the Board of Parole Hearings, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation, said that the November 16th hearing was Lazarus's first time before the parole board. I just remember covering the case way back when, right? When I started my channel at the end of June of 2021 is when I started my channel. And so somewhere there, July, August, I'd covered this case. And I just remember that initially they said she's eligible for parole in 2034. So I'm like, what the heck are we doing here in 2023? Is she behaving well there in prison? The heck is going on here? Anyway, so it got me like all fired up. So I hope you are also feeling the same. And of course, I want to show Sherri's family and friends that we've got their back, as we always do. We've got their back. We want to make sure that we've seen justice for Sherri, even though it took so long. And it's so infuriating and so frustrating because all along they were like, look at her, what about Stephanie, what about Stephanie? And the cops were just protecting their own, right? And so, wow, just to think that after all that time, that's justice that was served. You can't now, 11 years later, be like, oh, okay, just let her out. Not that that's what's happening. It's just a parole hearing, suitability hearing, which will become, is she eligible for it or not? If so, she may be released in July of 2024. So then they said that was the first time before the parole board. She was arrested in 2009 and granted more than 4 years of pre-sentencing credit for time served while awaiting trial, according to the spokesperson, Mary Jimenez. If Lazarus's parole is finalized, she would not be released before next July, her minimum eligible parole date. A spokesperson for the California governor, Gavin Newsom, said that his office had not yet received the case. If it does, it will be reviewed carefully, the spokesperson said. Panel recorded that at the beginning of the November hearing, the presiding commissioner said that Lazarus was, and hear this out, invoking a 2018 California law that aimed to reform how offenders who were younger than 26 when their crimes were committed are handled in the criminal justice system. I think she was 25 at the time, 24, 25 at the time. So she's going for that. And it says the statute cites the state and federal high court decisions that have reviewed evidence showing that parts of the brain involved in behavior control are not fully mature until a person's mid to late 20s. According to the California law, with few exceptions, people who meet the criteria are required to have a meaningful opportunity for parole during their natural life. I would argue, if she's going to use the argument of my brain wasn't fully formed yet, I was only like 25. Okay, but you were a police officer. You were a detective at the LAPD. You were armed. You were solving crimes, apparently. So, yeah, your brain was fine, okay? You guys are like, I remember the case. So just remember, we're just going over the news. Then we're going to do a full recap of the case, a deep dive, as well as look at the interrogation, okay? I prepared a little something for you, as I always do. Now, Lazarus was, there we go, a junior police officer and almost 26 when she killed Sherri. To Connie, the law makes little sense in Lazarus's case. Lazarus had graduated from the police academy and had been found fit and competent enough to carry a gun. Yet she's still eligible to use this criteria for early release, Connie said. The Department of Corrections did not respond to requests for comment. Sherri had married Lazarus's ex-boyfriend only months before she was killed. They were married for 3 months. And Stephanie Lazarus was so jealous. Prosecutors argued that Lazarus was fueled by jealousy when she killed Sherri, who her sister recalled as loving and kind, driven and very bright. She had skipped 2 grades and started attending Loma Linda University at the age of 16. LAPD investigators initially said that Sherri was killed in a burglary gone wrong, but her family long suspected that Lazarus may have been behind the murder and pushed detectives to investigate her. In 2009, investigators with the department's homicide unit who reopened the case compared a DNA sample taken from a bite mark on Sherri's left shoulder with a sample secretly captured from Lazarus's soda straw. The samples matched and Lazarus was arrested and charged with the murder. Brilliant moment in that interrogation that we're going to look at, okay? Lazarus denied the allegations, telling investigators that she couldn't believe they were accusing her, and during a nearly month-long trial, her lawyer argued that the DNA evidence had been corrupted. It had been too long. That was her defense. A jury convicted Lazarus on March 8, 2012, after 3 days of deliberations. Just over 24 hours, right? Okay, so now let me bring up what I prepared for you and quickly resize it. Now we're going to do a 17-minute recap of the case that I've made for you, okay? I will be here in chat as well. Don't be confused. I'm still here. I just want to show you this, and then we're going to look at the interrogation, okay? So let's do it like this. Yes. Are we ready? Here we go. Welcome, everyone. By the way, if you're only joining now, you're like, why? She's more in the corner like that. Here I am. This, again, is the victim, Sherri Rasmussen, sending her family and friends lots of love, okay? So, thank you all for being here. We're now going to look at a recap of this case, so this will be a good refresher for you or a good foundation if you've never heard of the case before. I might actually make a separate, storytime video for you, like I did the other day with Dr. Amy Harwick's case, on this case, in case you ever do want to revisit it. But yes, Janet says, buckles on. Everybody, are we buckled up? Here we go. Today we will be looking at the case of Sherri Rasmussen, a victim whose case went cold for 26 years before justice was served. Between 1978 and 1982, Stephanie Lazarus, who was a political science major from Simi Valley, California, dated John Ruetten, a mechanical engineering major from San Diego. Stephanie was very possessive of him and saw the relationship as something very serious, while John had never described it as anything more than fooling around. They were both basketball players in college, with Stephanie playing on UCLA's junior women's basketball team. They lived together in a dormitory known as Dykstra Hall, which was known as the home of all the jocks. John said that they first had sex right after he graduated. Shortly after the relationship became intimate, he landed a new job at Micropolis, a hard drive manufacturer, and she, Stephanie Lazarus, got into LAPD's police academy, becoming a uniformed officer in 1983. John later said that between 1981 and 1984, they had sex maybe 20 or 30 times, which would be less than once a month, but that he never thought of her as his girlfriend. She was at best a booty call. She was so obsessed with him to the point that she stole his clothes when he showered and took photographs of him when he was naked and fast asleep in bed. To her, he was the most prized possession that she ever had, and she was not up for sharing him, with or without his consent, as to their relationship status. But John had other plans. While Stephanie was, in his mind, his friend with benefits, he was available to start a more serious relationship with someone and had been dating other women throughout his time in college and when he had started his new job. In June of 1984, John had met Sherri Rasmussen, the director of nursing at Glendale Adventist Medical Center, graduate of Loma Linda University, and a beautiful woman who was confident, business-savvy, caring, and had strong leadership qualities. She was basically out of his league. She was offering presentations and classes to fellow nurses, helping them to improve their skill and to be the best critical care nurses that they could be. Stephanie was unaware of John's relationship with Sherri, throwing him a surprise 25th birthday party, probably hoping to show him how madly in love she was with him. When she learned of John and Sherri's relationship, she was devastated. With her diary, yes, she wrote a lot of diary entries, revealing that she had sunk into a deep depression over it. She even wrote a letter to John's mother, which is a bit odd, saying that she was truly in love with John and that the past year had really torn her up. "I wish it didn't end the way that it did, and I don't think I'll ever understand his decision," she wrote. The truth is, there was nothing to end, because in John's mind, they had never formally dated. He must have been quite taken aback when he heard that she had written to his mother. What was she trying to do? It's as if in her mind, John's mother was already her mother-in-law. She was speaking as if they were getting a divorce, when he was actually just doing what adults do: date, experience things, and then settle down. Stephanie also, as I said, had a little diary, and in this diary she wrote, "I don't really feel like working. I found out that John is getting married." That can definitely make us think that she became a police officer to impress John and not to serve or protect anyone. Of course, she wasn't going to let him go that easily, whether he was married or not. John and Sherri got married in November of 1985, something which bugged Stephanie to no end. In 1986, when the newlyweds were living happily in their condominium at 7100 Balboa Boulevard, Stephanie decided to take matters into her own hands, begging John for closure so that she could move on with her life after being so cruelly discarded. Like a moron, he obliged, visiting her at her Woodland Hills condo for closure sex, and sadly, not just once either. Her obsession with him was not, and never would be, over. Weeks before John married Sherri, Stephanie showed up at her work and told her that she had been his girlfriend and that their relationship was by no means over. She angrily said, "If I can't have John, no one can." Sherri told her father about this incident and said that she was worried that Stephanie was stalking her at times, watching her every move. 2 weeks before Sherri lost her life, Stephanie told her roommate at the academy that John's wife wasn't that good looking, and that she herself would never settle for anyone who wasn't tall and athletic like John. Stephanie started popping in for visits at their home too, once in skin-tight workout clothes with a pair of skis in hand, which she asked John to polish for her or to wax for her. He agreed, which Sherri did not like at all. A few days later, Stephanie showed up at the condo when John had left for work to pick up the skis, this time armed and in uniform, which unsettled Sherri even more. She begged her husband to set a boundary with her because she was becoming increasingly concerned with her behavior. but John just shrugged it off and told her to ignore her, saying that she was just an old friend. 3 months after John and Sherri got married, on the morning of February 24th of 1986, Stephanie visited the condo in Van Nuys again, right after John had left for work, this time with the most evil intent. John had left at 7:20 a.m. and would return at 5:55 p.m. after work to find the grisliest scene. Sherri, who was wearing a robe, t-shirt, and underwear, had been beaten, bitten, and shot. People were expecting her at the hospital that day, where she was scheduled to give a motivational speech. But she told John that she really wasn't keen on doing it because she did not believe it was an effective managerial tactic and said that she might call in sick. Her back was sore after an aerobics workout that she'd done the day before. She was still contemplating what her day would look like when Stephanie showed up, once again armed and defiant. A maid in a nearby apartment said that she had heard what sounded like two people fighting, and then she heard something falling on the floor. She did not expect the outcome of what she had heard to be so traumatic. At 9:45 a.m., another neighbor had spotted Ruetten's garage door open, which was a little bit unusual. There was no car in the garage, and neighbors had never seen them leave the garage door left open like that. At 10 a.m., John made a call to the home, which went unanswered. He tried again throughout the day, and Sherri's sister had also tried to get a hold of her. Perhaps the neighbor had called John to raise some suspicion over the garage door being open. John's work was only 20 minutes away, but even if he had come to the house in the day, he would have found his wife murdered because it happened so early in the morning, right after he left for work. 2 men had also found Sherri's purse lying on the ground, which they found extremely strange. When Ruetten returned home from work, he saw that the garage door was open, that there was broken glass on the ground, and that the BMW that he had recently bought for his wife was missing. Sherri would not have left without telling him. That was not like her. And if she had left, she would always have turned on the answering machine. It was off. In the living room, Ruetten discovered his wife on the floor, and all around her were signs of a struggle. A shattered vase, a toppled credenza, and a bloody handprint on the panic button of the alarm system. Sherri also had a bruised bite mark on her forearm, which provided the DNA evidence that would solve the case 26 years later. One eye was swollen shut, proven to be injured from the muzzle of a gun, and the other eye was open. Her limbs were said to be stiff and slightly in the air, and the bullet wounds were all in the vicinity of her heart. She had lots of defense wounds, including lacerations, bruises, and bite marks. Why had no one heard the gunshots? Because Stephanie had shot Sherri through a thick quilt to muffle the sound. She had used her policing knowledge to commit a heinous crime, something that she almost got away with. I mean, she became an exemplary LAPD detective, rising through the ranks and enjoying her life and job as if nothing had ever happened. After Sherri's death, Stephanie had lured John into bed with her on at least 2 occasions. Yes, after Sherri's death. Oh my word. But he was never interested in her as a girlfriend, no matter what she did. They had one last interaction in 1989, with John calling detectives to get certainty that Stephanie was not in any way a suspect in Sherri's murder. He even joined her and some of her friends for a vacation in Hawaii. Based on what Sherri was wearing and the clues that the crime scene presented, the LAPD detectives who initially investigated the case concluded that it was a burglary gone wrong. Stephanie had planned her every move, as messy as the scene was, making sure to stack electronic equipment near the door before dashing out and fleeing in Sherri's BMW, which she abandoned a few blocks away, leaving the key in the ignition. Do you know what else was missing and had been taken out of the drawer that had been left out in the open? John and Sherri's marriage certificate. Yes, Stephanie Lazarus stole their marriage certificate, and it's never been found. The investigator's speculation was solidified when 2 men burgled a woman's home just a few units away 6 weeks later. They also had a .38 caliber gun. This, to detectives, was a textbook robbery with 2 exceptions: the bite mark and the shooting through a quilt, which did not really seem like it was just a struggle, but a more deliberate assassination. John Ruetten did not suspect that his crazy ex was involved at all, but Sherri's parents had always suspected Stephanie because she had mentioned her crazy ass a few times in the weeks leading up to her murder. They begged detectives to investigate the case further and to list Stephanie as a suspect, but because she was one of their own, it just seemed absolutely implausible. They even told them that they'd been watching way too much TV and needed to let it go and move on with their lives. Stephanie made detective in 1993 and was made the treasurer of the Los Angeles Women Police Officers and Associates. She also kept up her athletic endeavors and won medals for her performance at the World Police and Fire Games in San Diego a year and a half after Sherri's murder. She even went on to become an instructor at the police academy, specializing in computer skills and research techniques. In 1996, she married Scott Young, a fellow LAPD officer. They adopted a young daughter together, and according to neighbors, they wanted to have a child so badly that they walked around asking them if they knew of anyone who wanted to give up a child for adoption. For a time, Stephanie ran a private investigation practice called Unique Investigations, where she offered free photographing and fingerprinting of children as a protection kit for parents. That's a little bit odd, given how badly she wanted a child herself and would do anything to get one. Stephanie was known as someone who dished out chocolate-covered cherries and handmade soap to neighbors over Christmas and sent flower bouquets to anyone who wasn't feeling well, and who was often in her garage building doors and cabinets. People described her as funny, light, determined, and friendly. But beneath that whole charade was a deep, dark secret that was thankfully exposed when cold cases were reopened to see if new technology could help them be solved. That bite mark on Sherri's forearm had saliva on it, and the swab was sitting in an evidence bag for 23 years waiting to reveal the truth. To think that Stephanie had access to the evidence room for all those years and may have tampered with some of the evidence is scary, but thankfully that swab was still there. In 2004, 18 years after Sherri's murder, criminalist Jennifer Francis tested the DNA on the swab and found that it belonged to a female and not a male, as had previously been assumed. She was shocked and started digging into the case, which led her to John Ruetten's ex-girlfriend, the woman who had stalked and harassed Sherri in the weeks leading up to her murder. When Jennifer presented the evidence, she was told that the LAPD cop, Stephanie Lazarus, was not involved, and detectives insisted that this was a burglary, and not what Jennifer was saying it could have been. So the case files were once again put away, and the case went cold for another 6 years. In 2009, cold cases were looked into again, and detectives Jim Nuttall and Pete Barber were assigned to Rasmussen's case. They found that because the DNA had proven it was a female who had bitten Sherri, the burglary theory did not really hold up, and they had to re-look at the case from the beginning, with a fresh set of eyes. Sherri's friends and family were re-interviewed, and they still insisted that Stephanie Lazarus was someone to look into, and so they began to do just that, quietly observing her from across the hall of the homicide department as she worked on a small art theft squad, and working on finding a way to test her DNA and hopefully close the case. She was one of 5 suspects, and she was actually the least likely one of them all. Detectives believed that because Sherri's jewelry, which was in full view of the scene of the crime, had not been stolen, this was a homicide staged as a burglary. They also pointed out that the neat stack of electronic equipment made no sense in the context of a botched burglary, and that it also alluded to a staged scene before Sherri's murderer fled the scene. They found evidence of a thumbprint made with a glove on a record player at the top of the stacked equipment, which also had some of Sherri's blood on it, further proving that the goods were stacked after the murder, something burglars would not do. The other 4 suspects were tested for a DNA match, and it turned out to not match any of them. That meant they only had 1 suspect left to test, Detective Stephanie Lazarus, one of their very own, someone they would need to tread carefully around in order to secure a DNA sample and to not allow her to use her knowledge to wiggle her way out of any charges. Remember, her husband also worked for the LAPD, so this had to be a very discreet operation. She was referred to as number 5, and they began to dig through her past to see if they could find any more clues. They found out that Stephanie had reported her backup gun, a .38 caliber work gun, stolen just 13 days after Sherri's murder. And she had not reported it stolen where she was supposed to either, and it was not reported at her department, but at the Santa Monica Police Department, conveniently close to a pier where the gun could be thrown into the ocean. The weapon was never recovered, and DNA was the only way that they were going to be able to close this case. Stephanie was also off duty on the day of the murders. It would have been unlikely that she would have committed this murder and gone to work on the same day, so it made sense that she would do this on her day off. Sherri's father told the new detectives everything that he had told the previous ones who had worked the case, even though they had not written any of this information down, and they knew that they were closing in on Stephanie at a rapid rate. Instead of alerting Stephanie to the ongoing investigation, the detectives got permission to collect DNA evidence from something that she voluntarily discarded. When she chucked a soda cup and straw in the bin, they moved in, tested the DNA, and found that it was in fact an exact match. Detectives told Stephanie that she needed to come to the lockup at Parker Center to talk to someone about an art theft, and that they had a suspect. On June 5th, 2009, 23 years after Sherri's murder, the cold case was solved and Stephanie Lazarus was arrested. Once she was arrested, police officers raided her home and car to find more evidence and learned about her undying love for John Ruetten from her diaries, and that she had been searching his name on the internet well into the late 1990s. As shocked as the LAPD was that one of their own was a murderer, they did recall that sometimes they referred to her as Lazarus behind her back because of how angry she would get sometimes. Okay then, Lazarus, alright. She was held at the Los Angeles County Jail and bail was set at $10 million to prevent any risk of her fleeing the country or getting weapons from her husband. Her trial began in February of 2012 and she refused to testify. In March of 2012, at the age of 52, she was sentenced to 27 years to life in prison for the first-degree murder of Sherri Rasmussen. She is currently serving her sentence at the California Institution for Women in Corona and will be, and this is what they said, eligible for parole in 2034, is what they initially said. But now, she's apparently eligible for parole now already. She had a hearing on November 16th, and we're going to go over that in a moment. Okay. I'm back, everybody. Thank you for watching that recap and giving my voice just a little rest there. So now, this was the trial from May of 2012. We're just going to look at the verdict, okay? Sometimes it's just cool to see. I wish we could actually see the whole trial, but I haven't been able to find the whole trial, but we could see the verdict, okay? So let's have a look at this quickly. I hope that recap helped you, especially if you're either new to the case or you just needed a bit of a recap. Can you believe that Stephanie Lazarus thinks like, oh, manslaughter? Oh, okay. She even bragged, that she, to some of her friends, how she could pick locks and she had all these cool little lock picking tools. And apparently she had books. It's kind of like Google, but it's before then, you know what I mean? Where she had books of the ultimate guide to being a locksmith or something. So I think she broke into that apartment quite stealthily, and there she was. And I mean, she attacked Sherri in many ways. She beat her up before she shot her. So to be like, whoops, manslaughter, I mean, come on. Stephanie says, I'd love to know what her husband thought of this, because her husband, the one she later married, right? So she finally, even though she was still researching John Ruetten, that guy was an LAPD detective. So, yeah, I would also love to know what he thought of that. Let's have a look at this quickly.
Good afternoon. I understand you have reached a verdict in this matter. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, please provide the verdict to the bailiff. All right, the clerk will please read the verdict.
People of the State of California versus Stephanie Eileen Lazarus. Case number BA 357423. We, the jury, in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Stephanie Eileen Lazarus, guilty of the crime of murder of Sherri Rasmussen in violation of Penal Code Section 187A, a felony, as charged in count 1 of the information. We further find the murder was of the first degree. We further find the allegation that in the commission of the above offense, the defendant, Stephanie Eileen Lazarus, personally used a firearm, namely a handgun, within the meaning of Penal Code Section 12022.5, subsection A1 to be true. This 8th day of March in the year 2012, juror number 9, foreperson. Is this your verdict? So say you one, so say you all?
Yes. All right, please poll the jurors.
Juror number 1, is this your verdict?
Yes.
Juror number 2?
Yes.
Juror number 3? Yes. Juror number 4? Yes. Juror number 5? Yes. Juror number 6?
Yes.
Juror number 7?
Yes.
Juror number 8?
Yes.
Juror number 9?
Yes.
Juror
She's
number
like,
10?
Yes.
Juror number 11?
Yes.
And juror number 12?
I'm not sure.
ooh, and now we're going to get to the interrogation part. Okay, so is there anyone here who's never seen this? Because damn, then you better buckle up. It's wild. I mean, her facial expressions. Wow. And the things she says and how she just claims to, I don't know, I don't even know these people. You know, her story changes quite a bit. And the end is just so great. So if you've never seen it before, actually, lucky you. It's going to be quite an experience. If you have, then thank you for being here. I'm sure many of us have seen it, right? Okay. So this happened on June 5th of 2009. So you heard that right, because the crime happened February 24th of 1986. And it took that long to get to Stephanie Lazarus because she was an LAPD detective. You know, the police protect their own. That was kind of their motto there as well. And they just never looked into her. So, wow. Okay. Michaela says, thank you for your hard work. Gee, you were the first I've ever subscribed to. Okay, thank you so much. Are we ready, everyone? Here we go.
Hey, I don't know if you know my partner.
Hey,
great.
Hi.
Stars, nice to
Yeah,
meet
see
you.
you guys.
How's it going?
Good.
Just milling around. Well, have a seat. This is, I didn't want to bring this up in your squadron.
You want to hear that?
Oh, no, it's fine. I think
I
we're
just
good.
have to record it to let me just turn it on. You're gonna bring somebody in, right?
Yeah, well, I can explain the whole thing
That's
too.
fine.
I didn't want to talk about this in the squadron
Oh,
because
that's okay.
I don't know who people are listening.
That's true,
And if
that's
we go to my side, everybody's
Yeah.
always wondering what everybody
Oh,
else
yeah,
is
sure,
doing.
no problem.
Okay. But like we're talking about being busy and stuff, we've been assigned a case that we've been looking at.
Okay.
It's a new case, and reviewing the case, there's some notes to see as far as your name being mentioned.
Okay.
Do you know John Ruetten?
John Ruetten. John Ruetten?
Already there. Do you know John Ruetten? And I think they did that on purpose, of course. Like, let's say his name a little bit wrong. She's like, John Ruetten? She should have just said, John Ruetten, the love of my life, the guy I've been stalking for years, the one I'm so jealous of. That. Oh, yeah, that one. Yes, okay. And by the way, remember how we just learned from the recap that they tracked her for days and they were able to get her DNA from a soda cup and a straw? Yeah, that was when she went to Costco's. Yes, not Walmart. Someone asked me in the comments the other day, why do you keep saying Walmart? Oh dear, we'll have to inform them that in many cases there's a Walmart, right? So in this one, there was a Costco. Okay.
Ruetten.
Oh, yeah, I went to school with him.
You did?
Yeah.
How long did you know him?
Gosh, I went to school in, let's see, went to UCLA in 1978 I started and, met him at school at the dorms.
Mm-hmm. Were you guys friends, close friends?
Yeah, we're very close friends. I mean, what's this all about?
Don't worry, we're going to see her face in a moment. If you're thinking, are we just going to look at her shoulder the whole time? No. No. And you're going to regret asking to see her face. She's going to make crazy eyes at you. It almost reminds me of Eileen Wernos. Remember how crazy her eyes were? She also made these big wide eyes and faces and things. Sure. Okay, so we'll be looking at that in a moment. Wait, I wanted to say something else. Oh, yeah. Janice Scott said the Dateline did an episode on this. I actually found it. This case is so old that I found it on the Internet Archives. The Dateline episode. So I was able to watch it there. And they made all these little clips and things. So I did see that as well. Yes. Okay.
It's it's a case we're working on. It involves John. And in there, some of the statements we reviewed, there's notes and stuff that he knew you and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we were good friends. Lived in the dorms for 2 years.
You guys lived in the same dorm?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Dykstra.
Okay. Were you guys just friends or anything else, or?
Yeah, we were good friends.
Yeah. Was there ever any relation?
So she's already downplaying the obsession she has, right? Yeah, we were friends. We lived in the same dorm. Not the same room, but the same dorm. Yeah, Dykstra. Played sport together. He's a great friend. And remember, okay, first disclaimer, if you don't like interruptions, then what are you doing here? Because that's what we're doing. We're doing commentary. We're discussing this friggin' interrogation, right? Now remember, when they had to find a clever way to get her into this interrogation room, and because she was a police officer, of course, she would normally be armed. So they took her to this like Parker Center downstairs and said, "Can you come down here?" Because she was working in the department for art theft, right? And so they said, "We actually have a suspect here for art theft. Can you just come down here and help us out?" And she's like, "Oh, okay, sure." And being in that center, she actually had to hand over her gun. So she was unarmed here. And then they caught her by surprise because she realized when she was in the room, like, wait, what? So now you're questioning me about John Ruetten? Like someone I knew 1,000,000 years ago, she says. Yeah, you were caught out. You were played.
Or anything that developed between you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we dated, you know, I mean, what's this all about?
Well, it's relating to his wife.
Okay.
Okay. Did you know her?
Not really. I mean, I knew that he got married years ago.
Did you ever meet her?
God, I don't know.
Do you know who she was or anything?
Well, let me think. God, it's been a long time ago. I may have met her. Geez. You know.
I may have met her. Mine, geez, okay. Really, you may have met her. She actually went to Sherri's workplace. She went to the hospital and sat there across from Sherri and said, "Listen, I'm just telling you now that that's after Sherri got married to John Ruetten. This one went to Sherri's work and said, I just want you to know when this marriage falls apart, I'll be here to pick up the pieces. He's mine. And if I can't have him, no one else can." Like literally the cliched thing to say, Stephanie Lazarus said. But she actually went to Sherri's workplace and asked to speak with her privately and had this intimidating conversation with her. Which Sherri was like, what the hell? She'd already married John Ruetten. Like, what the hell, woman? She's like, yeah, no, he's mine.
Yeah. Well, let me see. Let me ask you. You said you dated John. How long did you guys date?
I mean, are you guys, is this something, I mean, you said I was going to interview somebody about art and how you guys are,
here's
I mean.
Stephanie, here's the situation. It's basically,
Let's pause it on that face. What? She's like, I mean, what is going on here? She thought she was helping out, right, with art theft. So Henry Solson says, I've seen it stated in this chat that post-conviction and during incarceration, Lazarus has admitted to the killing. Can anyone confirm this to be true? So it was at her parole suitability hearing on November 16th of 2023, where after all that time, she did admit to killing Sherri. But she downplayed it and made it as if it was manslaughter. As if that's any better, but you know what I mean? There's no way. No way. So that's when she finally admitted that she did it.
You know, we knew that this, when we saw this in this chrono, that maybe, you know, there was some relationship there. That's what the chrono seemed to indicate, and we didn't want to come up to you at your desk and ask those kinds of questions or do anything. You know how up there people can see what's going on if you go into an interview room or people are in there getting supplies.
Okay. I mean,
so we wanted to afford you some privacy, some confidentiality to talk about this, because we thought it might be, you know, something, you know, you're married to someone else, obviously, and so forth, and that you may not want to, you know, talk about these things in that setting where someone, you know, we don't want the rumor mill or gossip or any of that kind of stuff
I mean,
to start.
that's fine. I mean,
so we did this just as a means to try and speak to you in just a confidential place where you know, where your business isn't out there for other people in you know, your division to know about.
You know, God, that's been 1,000,000 years ago. I mean, you know, what year is it now? 2009? I mean, I graduated in 82. 82, yeah. You know, we dated. I dated other guys. I'm sure he dated other girls.
Well, let me ask you, roughly how long would you...
And they never really officially dated, not according to John. You know, they had a fling. They hooked up sometimes, but she's like, we dated. I probably dated other people. He probably dated other people. Totally downplaying that. Kathleen said, you don't go biting people if it's manslaughter, right? And that biting, by the way, you guys, the autopsy report says that they believe that bite happened when Sherri died or after. You know, like at the moment she died or after, because it wasn't, there was no inflammation, and there would have been if she was still alive at the time, when Stephanie Lazarus, that's where her DNA was from biting Sherri's left forearm. Like, what the hell? That is crazy. This one broke into Sherri's home. She broke a vase, as you guys say, over her head. She hit her in the face with the muzzle of a gun. They said that the police believe the struggle lasted 90 minutes. There were some neighbors that heard a little bit of, stuff going on, and they're like, whoa, is this like a domestic dispute, or what's happening here, 90 minutes, apparently, is what the police said on the Dateline episode that they thought it lasted. And she wants to be like, what? It was manslaughter. Breaking in like that? There was no sign of forced entry. Maybe she liked to pick locks, apparently. And she really brutally attacked Sherri. Sherri tried to claw her way to the panic button, and there was a bloody handprint there as well, which is near the door. And then Stephanie dragged her to the point where some of Sherri's fingernails had like broken off and were found on the tiles there near the door. And to think of all of that, and then shooting Sherri in the chest 3 times, and then biting her forearm, I mean, sure.
Would you say you guys dated?
Oh, jeez. I couldn't even say. I mean, I started school there in 78.
Mm-hmm.
I started UCLA in 1978.
Mm-hmm.
I graduated in 82. I don't even remember what year he graduated, if it was a year or 2 before me.
Okay.
I think he was a little bit older than I was.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I can't remember if he was born, let's say I'm born in 1960. I don't know if he was born in 58 or 59. I mean, I knew his parents, I knew his sister.
You know. Don't lie, Stephanie, I could watch this a million times with you guys and I would never get bored of it. Also, welcome. I see lots of new faces in the chat. Welcome to Grizzly True Crime. I hope that you will consider subscribing and becoming part of us here. We're quite a nice bunch. You'll see. So if you're just lurking and you're not sure either, have a try. Subscribe and meet us on the next one as well. Okay, so.
His brother went to Northridge.
Mm-hmm.
His sister spent the night at my house before. Obviously, I spent the night at his house before. He probably spent the night at my house before. I don't.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, because from what you're telling me, is you guys dated while you were in college together, right?
Yeah, and probably after college. I can't. Geez, I'm trying to think when I met my husband. I met my husband when did I meet Scott? Let's see. I was teaching DARE, because I met Scott when I was teaching DARE up in Oregon. But we had long stopped, dating before that.
So you haven't talked to him for a long time?
Oh, I think I haven't talked to him in a long time. I couldn't even tell you when the last time I talked.
I was watching the behavior panel analyze this interview, and they called her neck movements and stuff extreme turtling. It's like that extreme turtleneck she's doing the whole time. It's like extreme turtling. Okay. Also, if you'd missed it in the beginning, she broke into the house, attacked Sherri. And what did she steal? So she stacked things to stage as if it was a burglary, but then it's as if the burglars ran. And yes, ironically, you know what sucked is that in the weeks following the murder, there were actually 2 break-ins along that street, close to this house. And so the police thought, see, it's a burglary. And they also used a .38 caliber gun and were pointing it at, the people they were trying to rob and everything. So people thought that's who killed Sherri. Oh, my word for it. It was like a cold case for 26 years. Can you believe that? Anyway, in breaking in, Stephanie had stacked all kinds of electronics and things right by the door. Like, what the hell? But she stole, and they've never recovered it, John Ruetten and Sherri Rasmussen's marriage license, their marriage certificate. She took that, got in Sherri's BMW, which was an engagement gift from John to her, and drove it 2 miles, I don't know if it's up the road or down the road, 2 miles away, and just abandoned it there with a key in the ignition. Wow. That's crazy stuff to steal. To be like, okay, and her purse, Sherri's purse, also chucked like out on the side of the road, on the pavement, I think it was, on the sidewalk, I think is what you guys call it. Yes, but to take the marriage certificate, oh my word, isn't that crazy? Okay.
To him. I met Scott, I'm thinking in 92 maybe, April of 92. It was
Scott being your husband.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was teaching DARE. Let's see, what year is this? We'll be married. I got married in 1996. I think I met Scott in 92. Prior to that, I couldn't tell you how long I had talked to John prior to that.
But since you met your husband, Scott, you haven't talked to him?
I mean, he may have called me once or twice before we got married.
Right.
You know, geez, I moved to Simi in 1994 because I lost my house in the earthquake.
Oh, really?
Quite honestly, I probably keep in contact with a few people from the dorms. We all lived on the 10th floor, and there's about 3 or 4 people I keep in contact with. There's probably like 6 or 8 of us that were all really close.
Mm-hmm. And who are those people?
Oh, geez.
What, you're trying to make up
Diana
names now? She's trying to make up names now. Yeah, well, there's some of us that were really close, kept in touch, really trying to deflect from her obsession with John Ruetten, who they said she had researched, so I would assume on the internet later, John Ruetten, into the 90s, you know? So the murder happened in 1986, right? February 24th of 1986. And she was looking up John. I just want to see which year. They just said into the 90s. Sure. And Joe Morris says she staged the burglary and stole their marriage license. So now, look at her trying to list names of people that she's supposedly still, a little bit in contact with.
Asta, people I still keep. I haven't been in contact with her in a long time. Mm-hmm. I mean, what's this all about? I mean,
well, let me ask you, what ended the relationship between you and John?
It was kind of a weird relationship. I mean, we dated. I can't say that he was my boyfriend. I don't know that he would consider me his girlfriend. It
hurts, huh, Stephanie? She's like, well, I can't say that he was my boyfriend. I don't know if he'd say that I was his girlfriend. He wouldn't, and he didn't. It's like a friends with benefits situation. That's what it was to John, it seems. So for her, it's just like everything.
We dated, we did things. I played sports in college. He played basketball. His brother played basketball. It just didn't work out. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. It was like I went out with other guys, saw other guys. I went on lots of vacations.
And once you guys split, were you guys still friends, or kind of, problems? Is it friendly, not friendly?
No, I don't think it was not friendly. I mean, we were friendly. I know that we went to Hawaii at one point. Another friend of mine who's actually dying right now went to Hawaii with us at some point.
Oh, another way to deflect. A friend of mine who's dying right now. Yeah, we all went to Hawaii. They probably want them to be like, oh no, I'm so sorry. What's wrong with your friend? They're going to thinking really hard.
Remember roughly when that was?
Oh, geez. Let me think. I'd have to check my pictures. Or I'd say I'd ask Greg, but my friend Greg is like dying of liver cancer right now. Yeah, I mean, You
see? Raising that conversation flag again. Look at her face there. I mean, guys, what is this about? I have to check my pictures. She's got thousands of pictures. She needs to check those. She refers to them a lot.
And you were saying that...
it's 2009 now.
Had you ever met his wife?
I may have.
Do you remember her name or anything, or? Or what she did for a living, or where she worked, or anything about her?
Well, I think I'm going to say that I think she was a nurse.
Oh, Oh, you think she was a nurse. You went and stalked her at the hospital to have a word with her. Listen, this guy's mine. Okay, then. Also, Nicole, 727, was asking, was she married yet at the time of this murder? Not yet. She wasn't at the time married. She wanted John for herself. But see, even after the murder, she never got John. He didn't want to date her or marry her or anything like that. They were friends with benefits that knew each other throughout college and hooked up a couple of other times. Okay.
Man, I can't remember how he said he met her. Yeah, I mean, it's been so long ago.
Well, let me ask you, did you go to their wedding, you know?
No, I didn't go to their wedding. No, did not go to their wedding. Couldn't even tell you what year he got married. I mean, you know, it's been a million years ago.
Do you ever remember if you ever talked to her? Because it seems like a lot of you who were at the school at UCLA, you guys kind of were friends during and after school, so I don't know if you guys still associated afterwards once he was married or anything.
With him?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I mean, I would say, you know, the people that were on the dorm floor, we'd get get-togethers. There's probably like 4 or 5. I don't think he ever came. Yeah, I don't think. No, it was mostly girls. You know, a girl named Smita, Diane. There's 2 Dianes.
Name dropping a little bit. 2 Dianes, 2 of them. Okay, let's think up some more people to add here to this.
But the one Diane, I don't think she ever came. I kind of lost contact with her. We were good friends on the floor. Yeah, I mean, I don't, you know, again, I mean, what, you know, I don't understand why you're talking about some guy I dated a million years ago.
Well, do you know what happened to his wife?
Yeah, I know she got killed.
What did you hear about that?
I saw a poster at work.
Oh, you saw a poster at work. Ooh, they got her there. The pressure, right? Cornered her. She's literally in the corner. But they're like, oh, where'd you hear about that? But you know what happened to her, right? Oh, yeah, I heard she got killed. Oh, like, so you had no idea what her name was. Or, yeah, you think she was a nurse. But like, oh, yeah, I know she got killed. Oh, really? How'd you know about that, huh? Now, I know that Stephanie Lazarus was a police officer. So one would think that she would have heard about it. But the way she answers now, she's like, oh, crap. Look at her face. Oh, crap. Yeah, she's just a poster at work or something.
Sure, I spoke to him about it. I think I spoke to another friend of his about it.
And how did you first learn about that?
Jeez. Someone could have called me. I could have heard it at work. I think at one point there may have been a flyer or something. I know a good friend of his...
Were you on the job back then when that happened?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I'm sure I was on the job. That's why I would have heard about it with the flyer. He had a good friend, Mike.
But that day of the murder was her day off, by the way. She didn't work on the day that Sherri was murdered. And, you know, Sherri, as we learned earlier, if you saw the recap, she was supposed to go in and give a lecture that day and decided, no, I'm not going to go in. And she called in sick. So to think, sure, that Stephanie, she must have been stalking her for a while before to find that perfect moment where she would be home alone and wouldn't be going into work, you know? And then remember, 13 days later, Stephanie Lazarus reported not to her own police department, but to the Santa Monica Police Department that her gun, the .38 caliber, yeah, that was stolen. Yeah, right.
Aldrich, Mike. Anyways, he may have lived in the dorms. I don't remember if that's how I met him. I may have talked to him. I mean, you know, I don't remember how I heard. I mean, I don't even remember what year it was.
And you think you said you thought his wife was a nurse. Do you have any idea where she was working at the time, or did he ever mention that to you? Was it a hospital or a doctor's office?
I'm sure he must have mentioned it. Now that you're bringing that up,
no, I'm sure he mentioned it somewhere. I mean, it's not like I went there and threatened her, right? Which she did. She went there to threaten Sherri.
I think she worked at a hospital somewhere, and yeah, I may have met her at a hospital. I may have talked to her once or twice,
At a
or
hospital?
more. You know.
But being that you're kind of used to see John, you know, was it everything okay between you guys? I mean, there was never anything uncomfortable or anything between you and her?
You know, I don't know. I mean, it's been so many years. I mean, uncomfortable. I mean, I can't even remember if we had a conversation. I mean, we may have. I may have seen her at his apartment. You know, geez, how many years ago was that? I don't even know what year she, you know, got killed.
Where was
So many years ago. She likes to go back to that one throughout this interrogation, just like a million years ago. So many years ago. No idea. Can't remember. What's this all about, you guys? At this point, she must be, yes, quite anxious, but she seems like she's also getting quite angry, right? Because she's caught out now that she thought she's gonna go there to help them interview a suspect for art theft, which is a department she worked for. If you're only joining now, we did do a full case recap, as well as before that. The reason we're talking about this case now is because she's had a parole suitability hearing on November 16th of this year, and she's being recommended for parole, which could happen. It could. In my opinion, it's unlikely, but let's see. I hope she doesn't get let out, but she could in July of 2024, that is ridiculous because it's only been 11 years since she, you know, was sentenced. So, and she had 23 years of freedom living with the secret of what she'd done, living her life before she was caught. It was a cold case for 26 years. Sure.
was his apartment?
On Roscoe.
Okay.
Yeah, Roscoe and east or west of DeSoto. Either east or west of DeSoto.
Do you know where he moved after? Did he move after he got married, or do you know? Or
I'm sure he did.
did you know where he was living, or?
Somewhere in the valley.
Did you ever visit him and his wife?
No.
No, never
No.
went out to, you know, get together, dinners, anything
No,
of that nature?
no. Like I said, his sister used to come over. His sister had come to my place. I knew his brother because his brother played basketball at Northridge. In fact, I was just coming across some pictures that I just scanned from. I take a lot of photos, like 10,000, and I just did a service where
She's like, I take a lot of photos, like 10,000. Okay, she's got 10,000 photos. She's like, you want to see it? She didn't say you want to see it, but it almost is like, you want to see my photos or what? Should we just take some time out and see the photos?
scanned everything. And I'd seen some pictures of his brother playing
Well,
basketball.
you just put them all on your computer so you could have them accessible and do things with them?
Well, my partner is a big photo thing, and he had a deal to scan. So I spent a ton of time just scanning photos. I mean, I paid a company to do it. So I've got photos of, his brother, his sister, you know.
10,000 pictures?
Oh, yeah.
How long did that take them?
Months.
Now, what do they put that on a? I'm just curious myself. Do they
DVD,
put it on? They get that all on one DVD? They don't need like a hard drive or anything?
No. There's like, I think 11 DVDs. Yeah, I don't even have time.
It's a series of DVDs that they put them on.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I got.
I'm not that familiar with computer stuff, so that's why I was asking.
It's like 11 DVDs.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, I haven't had a chance to go through them. You could go through and pick which ones you don't want. I don't have time to do that.
Right.
You know, so like you said, did I, you know.
NET says tens of thousands and millions of photos. 11 DVDs worth.
I don't think we ever socialized. You know, he'd still call me. I can't say that I would. If he's married, I don't know that I would have called him. Maybe. Who knows? I don't know. It's been a million years ago.
Well, how long was John married before his wife died?
I have no idea.
3 months?
I have no idea.
You do know. 3 months, and you stole their freaking marriage certificate. You know. I wonder if she still has it. Well, not now. But did she keep it? Did she burn it? Did she rip? What'd she do with it? Huh? That must be weird. Wow.
After his wife died, did Did you talk to him again or anything?
Yeah, I mean, I did talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
I talked to him, probably his parents, probably some other friends. You know, I'm sure I talked to him.
Yeah.
But you're not sure where he moved to after he got married?
No idea. I mean,
Never went over to
No
visit
idea.
him or...
I don't think.
meet
I
his
mean,
wife?
No idea. She's only obsessed with him and stalked him all the way into the 90s, late 90s. Don't know until exactly which year. Maybe they don't even know until exactly which year. Maybe she's still stalking him for all we know. Absolutely obsessed with John Ruetten. For him, that must be really scary. Now, right? Well, in hindsight, over all these years since she was actually caught. Because he said to the police along the way, "Are you sure she's not a suspect at all?" And they're like, "She's not a suspect." Do you know that Sherri's parents even offered to pay for DNA tests to rule her out because they really thought it was Stephanie Lazarus? The LAPD declined the offer to pay for DNA tests. They're like, "It's okay, we got it. We'll raise the money. We're going to pay for it." They said no. It's not, it's just two random burglars who stole nothing but a wedding certificate and just drove Sherri's car 2 miles away and then also bit the victim. Right. Just two random guys. So, in the early 2000s, when that new criminalist came in and re-looked at the case, and they looked at the DNA again from the bite mark and realized this is from a female. This is not from two males or from a male. This is from a female. They had to re-look at the case all over again. And thank goodness. Imagine if this never went, if it was unsolved this whole time. I mean, it was already long enough. But I'm so glad that they actually eventually did catch her.
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I did. I mean, I know he lived on Roscoe for a long, long time. I mean, I may know. I mean, he may have told me where they lived, somewhere in the valley. I mean, he may have said I lived over such and such, but I couldn't tell you specifically where.
But you don't remember specifically ever going over to visit him or visit them and wherever he moved when he left Roscoe?
I honestly, I don't know. I don't think so, but
okay.
You know, I don't want to say no, I don't think so, and then he says, "Oh yeah, she came over for something, dropped something off." You know, I don't know.
So she's like, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to be busted here, so I'm just going to go with I don't know. You know, if she was a male killer and stalker, we would be like, whoa. I just think we would assume she probably went into the house before, right? Because how the hell does she know where that marriage certificate was? Or do you guys think it was like in a drawer somewhere or framed somewhere? Or like, how would she know exactly where it is? That's so creepy. You know, so she's a female killer. So it's just hard to imagine her like creeping around then. But she was so obsessed with John Ruetten, I wouldn't actually put it past her. And she was so impressed with her lockpicking skills. And she was a cop, of course. You just never know. But damn, do you think that that's what she took? Sure.
So if you did go over there, just be like a quick thing, like you're saying, drop something off, or
maybe.
But you don't remember as far as like going there to have dinner or like a social, anything at the house, party?
Well, if you guys know something, I don't know. I don't think so. I mean, but
after John's wife died, you said you may have been talking to him. Did your relationship start up again?
I would say no. Again, can you give me a year? I mean, this is like 2009.
She died in 1986?
Yeah, I think it was 86.
1986.
Okay. Like I said, I'm faintly remembering that I went to Hawaii with my friend Greg. Greg and I got certified for scuba diving. And I'm...
That's the significant friend who she says is now dying. Okay, so she's bringing him up again. Also, I actually don't know the answer to that. I feel like I used to know it, but I'm not too sure now. Now, I could be like, I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I'm going to sound like her now for a second. But did her husband divorce her? I think so, but I can't remember.
Thinking that John met us there, meaning Greg and I. That could have been, I got certified toward the end of 88, or 88, 89, because I got recertified again, and it had been like over 10 years, so I got recertified. My husband and I got recertified. And I'm pretty sure that John met us there. Again, I'd have to tell you what year it was. I'd have to look at my pictures. You know.
She's going to have to look at those 10,000 pictures, buy herself some time, okay, to tell them which year it was that they want to know about.
And other than that, I can't even say. He may have called me, you know, at my home. I may have called him. I don't think he got together with our group.
You don't think after his wife's death?
Or even before, I don't. You know, we went to weddings together. You know.
Did you?
I got pictures. Like I said, I couldn't tell you years. It's been a million years ago.
After he got
a million years ago,
married or whatever, were you dating anybody in particular?
And that was what year? 1986, you said?
I think he got married in around 85, 86, something like that. Were you seeing anyone seriously, or?
God, I couldn't say. Geez, I'm trying to think. I mean, you know, I dated a fireman.
What was his name?
Mike Arndt. And I'm trying to think.
Was he LAFD or?
He was LAFD.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think when I went. I probably met Mike. I went to Devonshire. Let's see. I left Hollywood in 80. I worked Hollywood 84.
Oh, now she's trying to remember. Was I dating someone? I don't know. If you'd missed her mugshot, by the way, this is it now. She's 63 years old now. Imagine if she gets out in July next year. I'll be really shocked. I don't think she's gonna, but who knows? She did pass the parole suitability hearing or test, so that's and Sherri's family is very upset by that news. Look at her go.
To 85, I think, and then I went to Devonshire, and that's when I met Mike, and some other firemen. And
what, the station next door?
No, actually.
Because I used to work Hollywood, so I was just wondering if it was the station next door.
No. It was when I worked Devonshire, I met Mike.
Oh, okay. All right.
And I'm trying to think. I went to Devonshire in 85, and I'm thinking that I would have met him probably sometime shortly after I went to Devonshire, because I actually met his buddies at a fire.
All those firemen she dated. I don't think so. Crime scene photo says, I worked on this case. Did you? Did you work on this case? Do you want to email me anything? Fill us in. What's happening? Okay, you worked on this case. Welcome. There's a lot of new Grizzlies in chat. Welcome. If you want to be an official Grizzly, as we call ourselves here, then hit the subscribe button. If you like this type of content, if you like the format of what I'm doing here, the news, a recap, and then looking at this interrogation or whatever it is we're looking at, then like the video and share, please.
And then Mike and I dated, just really kind of casually. And we remained good friends.
You still in touch with him, or?
Unfortunately, he passed away.
Oh, really?
He died in he had a car crash. He did race cars, and he went heading into a wall. I couldn't tell you what year that was, but he passed away. He was in a coma, and they pulled the plug.
Right.
Seems like, anyway. So, I couldn't even tell you what year. I'm thinking I went to Devonshire in 85, and I know I met the guys because it was kind of a funny incident of how I...
Here we go. Another story coming up. John Tracy says, as a serving cop, she should know how to keep her mouth shut. Right? But isn't it amazing, even as a serving cop, how many of these criminals in these interrogations, especially when we look at the hindsight, right? And we want to see now that they've been sentenced and put away for a long time. Hopefully this one will not be released in 2024. But how they try not to look guilty by just being like, I'm chill, I don't need a lawyer, it's fine, let's have a talk. What is this about, you guys? And just answering all these questions, where she could have said, immediately, you know what? No, man, I thought I'm coming down here for something else. I'm leaving. And they were ready for that. They said if she walked out of that room, they were already going to arrest her out there because they'd already confirmed her DNA was matched to the bite mark, to the saliva that was on the bite mark found on Sherri's forearm, right? So they were going to, but it's just amazing how long she talks. It's over an hour. Sure, before they actually arrest her, because she doesn't want to look guilty, you see. Just like, yeah, we're just buddies over here. And obviously she worked, you know, for the LAPD.
We met them, and that's how I remember it was sometime probably 85.
Right.
You know, if you specifically, I don't even know if they remember. The other two are now married to somebody else because I kind of, all three, I mean.
Did you kind of socialize, like when you were out with Mike, did those guys come out with you too? Was it kind of like, did you do stuff with, his friends? Or?
Well, there was two firemen, Eric and Gary. I met them first. Then they introduced me to Mike. So that's how I met Mike, and Mike and I dated.
Mm-hmm.
So, and not, I wouldn't even say, I couldn't even tell you for how long, because then it would say we decided, you know, it wasn't working out, and we'd be better friends, and, you know, he introduced me, I think, to some other guy who now is on LAPD, Randy Cordobas.
I don't think I
He's
know
a
him.
detective. He's got a twin brother who's on the fire department. That's how I met Randy, because he had a twin brother, identical twin on the fire department.
Okay.
And
Anyway, you and
I
Randy
dated him. When, I couldn't tell you. It was before he came on the job.
before Randy came on the job?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And that was, I'm trying to remember if Mike.
And this must have been such a shock to her, to after 23 years being called in to be questioned about this crime. Oh, whoa, that must have blown her mind. She must be panicking a little bit here, right? And she was quite the overachiever in her career. She had a really great career as a police officer, detective. I think she won Detective of the Year twice at the LAPD. All kinds of awards and things. She did very well. And then it's like, okay. She probably felt invincible, especially the more the time went on. So this must have been an absolute shock to her.
Mike may have, I'm trying to remember. Mike may have dated a girl that he dated. Oh, God, it sounds too weird. Randy may have dated a gal that Mike was dating, and then Randy broke up with that gal. I couldn't even tell you the gal's name, if I'm even thinking of the story right. And then I started dating Randy.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, not like I was a huge floozy or anything, but
no, but you know, I mean, a lot of times, right? At least from my female partners that I've had, you know, it's hard dating guys that aren't involved in kind of our circle, right? Because some guys are intimidated by, you know, women police officers.
Randy was like an engineer at the time. He was like some kind of an engineer.
On a rig? On a fire truck?
No, an engineer.
A professional engineer.
Yeah, and then I think he lost a job and then came on the department.
I see.
So.
A lot of fluff, huh? She's just sharing a lot of fluff here. Just trying to distract with all sorts of stories. Peter Bronzo, Harlem Raiders, says very rare in a situation such as this that she would be paroled. Right? They're using that that statute, that law that we looked at earlier, because she committed the crime before the age of 26. It's just amazing that she has been recommended for parole based on that parole suitability hearing. She already got that far. That one would think would be like an automatic hell no. But this has got everyone on edge now.
Getting back to some stuff, as far as you recall, after John's wife died, did you start a relationship again with John, or dating casually, or anything like that?
Like I said, he met Greg and I in Hawaii. Okay.
That was something you guys kind of planned together, like go as a group, or you ran into him, or?
No, I think that obviously I must have talked to him, and I said, hey, I'm going to Hawaii with my buddy Greg. We're scuba. We just got certified scuba diving. we're going to be in Hawaii. Hey, if you want to come and join us, come join us.
Right.
And
Yeah, super chilled. It was just super chilled. Like, hey, my buddy Greg and I are going. You want to come along to Hawaii? It's like only the man that she's completely obsessed with. She's like, please, 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 come with to Hawaii.
I think that's what it was.
Okay.
I may have asked some other people to as well. You know, what island did we go to? I think the Big Island in Kauai. He either met us on the Big Island or Kauai. I'm thinking of Greg and I might have scuba dived a lot on the Big Island as well as Kauai. I don't remember which island. Again, I'd have to look at my pictures. I traveled a lot on my vacations. I mean, I was always gone for at least a month. And I would go places, and I would...
Yeah, you traveled a lot, had a great career, lived your life in total freedom and arrogance after murdering a lady, and just kept it to yourself. Of course you would. I'm just saying, like, she stole Sherri's life and then just happily lived her own.
Either run into people or, you know, meet people.
And Greg, this Greg we're talking about, he was like someone you were dating or just a buddy? Or?
No, you know what? I would say we started out probably just buddies, and either I was with somebody or he was with somebody, but it was kind of like we ended up just kind of being like brother and sister. And maybe he wanted something more, but
No. You keep telling yourself, yeah, we're just like brother and sister. I mean, maybe he wanted something more, but all right.
you know, it never, worked out, but we did things together. I would consider him, I've probably known him, let's see, I've been on the job almost 26 years. I've probably known Greg 23, 24 years.
So you still talk to him?
Oh yeah, he's dying of liver cancer right now, yeah.
Yeah, she had to bring that up. Still talk to him, but yeah, he's dying right now of liver cancer. She's like, round 3 of raising that conversation flag. She's like, please, can we talk about Greg? He's dying right now. Shame. I wonder if he actually was, Also, I see people in chat asking, where is John Ruetten now? The only thing I could find, of course, he wants to live a private life. That makes sense after all of this. All I could find was that he did get remarried. But this must be so traumatic for him, Terrible.
Yeah, so I consider him a good friend. I don't know what to tell you on that.
I mean, when you heard about John's wife being killed, I mean, what was your reaction? I mean, you thought you heard about it, what, through a friend or in a bulletin or
Either
something?
a friend or a bulletin. I called the family. I called maybe some of his friends that I knew, and I mean, obviously it shocked you if I heard it at work, which I may have. I faintly remember a bulletin going around. Either that or somebody called me. I honestly don't remember.
Right.
And then I probably called his family. I don't know initially. I can't say if I initially spoke to him or not. I honestly don't remember. I may have said to somebody, hey, have him call me if he wants to talk, and then he may have done that.
Do you know what the circumstances were regarding her?
Oh, look, she's like, think real hard. Pretend not to know anything. What were the circumstances of Sherri's murder? I don't know. Dude, Morris, CAG, says if she would have not bitten Sherri, she would have gotten away. Right? It's almost like she Ted Bundy'd herself. Remember when Ted Bundy bit one of the victims too? That also got him. Here, I mean, that was so sickening. Everything she did to Sherri and then bit her, which they say was probably after Sherri had just died. Then this maniac bit her left forearm. We saw pictures of it in the recap that I did earlier in the stream.
Jeez, let me think back.
Yeah, think hard.
Geez, I don't know if it was, if it was a burglary or something. Yeah, it's been so many years. I can faintly think that I may have saw a flyer.
Yeah.
May have had her picture on.
It goes from a bulletin to a flyer. Like, she changes this up the whole time of how she found out about Sherri's murder. And now, she's like, I think it was a burglary or something. You want it to be a burglary or something. She tried to stage it to make it look like a burglary, but the burglary actually makes no sense. The burglars didn't take anything but the marriage certificate, drove Sherri's car just down the road. Okay. Took nothing of financial value, just sentimental. If you think of that, of the marriage certificate, taking that from them. That's just so weird. Stacking all the electronics at the door, but leaving them. Right. She's like, it's probably a burglary. Some people have speculated that she might have even paid people to commit those other burglaries. I'm not so sure. I looked at some of the crime stats at the time, back then. It could be plausible that there were burglaries in the area at the time. It's ironic that it was two males with the same type of gun that was used in Sherri's murder, a .38 caliber, but I don't know. I'm not too sure. I think I'm on the fence with that one. Do you think that Stephanie here paid two men to go and rob those other houses at gunpoint? There were two of them around the same street, very close to Sherri's house, because that, of course, fed into the police narrative of this was a burglary gone wrong. Sure.
That's why I say, if somebody had called me, I may not have known what her last name was. I may have. Maybe if you told me, I would remember it.
Do you remember the first name?
Shelly, Sherri, I don't know, something maybe,
Oh, no, you don't know her name either. Sherri, something like that. Right. You've only got her marriage certificate.
Like I said, it's been so many years, and
from all the years, as far as you can remember, do you remember ever talking to her?
Well, I said earlier, I may have, I may have talked to her.
You mentioned a hospital, maybe. You may have talked to her at a hospital.
Yeah, I may have. I'm thinking back now. You guys are bringing up all these whole memories.
No, it kind of dusts off the cuff.
Geez. I'm thinking that because we would date. He would date other people. I would date other people, and I think at one point, he may have been dating her, or I don't know. Maybe he was married. I don't even remember. And I'm like, why are you calling me if you're either dating her or living with her or married to her? Because I honestly don't remember the time frame. And I'm like, come on, knock it off. And I'm thinking I may have gone to her and say, hey, you know what? Is he dating you? He's bothering me. And so I'm thinking that we had a conversation about that. One or two, maybe. It could have been three. I don't want to say I had three conversations with her.
Like at her work or at their house or.
No,
She sure flipped that script, and she's getting red. She's going pink. Look at her glow. Oh man.
Thinking that he obviously must have told me where she worked. I'm thinking it was a hospital somewhere in LA, and I could have been. Again, what year was that? Where was I working? I'm trying to think of where. When did you say they got married?
I don't know. I think it was like in 85 or 86.
Yeah, just look at that marriage certificate you stole. Yeah, that'll refresh your memory. Imagine if they're like, with this refresh your memory, we've executed a search warrant and found this at your house. Imagine. Oh, what a moment that would be. Like, look at this. This is when they got married. Remember this? Sure.
Or something like that. Yeah, we just kind of picked this up. We don't know a lot about it.
I could have been working in Hollywood, it sounds like, if that's where I was working. So I could have said, okay, well, and I went and talked to her. and just said, hey, you know what? If he's dating you, he's keeps calling me. Why don't you tell him to knock it off or whatever? And because I probably would have told him to knock it off.
You would have told John.
Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
Absolutely. Would have so told him to knock it off. Meanwhile, she actually told Sherri, if I can't have him, no one else will have him. He's mine. And when your marriage falls apart, I'll be here to pick up the pieces. And coerced John into having sex with her a few times. Before Sherri's murder and afterwards. Twice afterwards. Like, what? That's what she's like, oh yeah, I would have so told him to knock it off.
I mean, I would have said, hey, and again.
But you wanted to tell her too? You wanted them both to know?
Yeah, I mean, if you're getting her called, and I'm faintly remembering when Scott moved in with me in 1993, sometime in '93, because I met Scott in April of '92. I was teaching DARE up in Oregon, and he moved down. In fact, he may have moved down in '92. 92 or 93, there was the big earthquake. No, when was the big earthquake? No, 94.
94, yeah.
So I think Scott might have moved in 93, sometime in 93.
By the way, if you guys have never seen this interrogation, you gotta wait till the end. You gotta hang in there because they do bust her. They definitely do. At the end, it's like, okay, she's like, this is crazy. I mean, right now, she's still just, deflecting, sharing a lot of fluff, trying to remember years, thinking of those 10,000 pictures from millions of years ago.
Excuse me. I haven't had my breakfast yet. And so, excuse me. And so...
She's like, excuse me, burping. Haven't had my breakfast yet. Okay.
I faintly recall that John may have called a few times, and I'm like, hey, he goes, oh, can you talk or something? I'm like, no, I can't talk. I've got, I'm living with somebody.
Right.
And that could have been a few times. It could have been once, could have been twice, could have been 3 times. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, it could have been 1,000,000 times, right? This guy was just pursuing her in her own head, in her own fantasy. Meanwhile, I mean, when he got married to Sherri, this one, when he got engaged to Sherri, actually, threw him a surprise 25th birthday party, and there she was, like, surprised, and she was just devastated to learn, what? You're in a serious relationship? You're getting married? What? Took her by complete surprise. That must have been humiliating for her. But even after they got married, she would just rock up at the house in workout clothes and try to be all sexy for John. Okay, be like, can you wax my skis? And I'm like, this guy. He was just like, okay, I'll do that. Don't worry, she's just a friend. He told her it's okay. You probably knew, she's just a handful. This is just how you deal with her. You just diffuse, and say yes, whatever. But she just rocked up at the house all the time. But now she's sitting there saying, yeah, well, I was living with someone else when he's just still like calling me and stuff. Yeah, right.
And that's during the period of time of the earthquake that you're...
Well, no, probably after Scott moved in. I think I met Scott in April of '92.
Oh, okay, right before.
April of '92, because I stopped teaching DARE.
That face, you guys, do you see it? She did llama face. Yeah. Let me try to recall, and then she did llama face.
I think I stopped teaching DARE sometime in '92.
Mm-hmm.
And when you say that you may have, that you talked to his wife, said, hey, I don't know if it was, I guess it wasn't his wife at that time, girlfriend or whatever. And
yeah, I don't know if it was his wife or his girl.
Right.
I mean, quite honestly, I don't even remember.
When you said, like, hey, he's calling me, he needs to knock it off or what have you, I mean, was that civil? Was there,
no, there was not. I don't think there was anything. If the conversation lasted a few minutes, I can't even remember. And what is it like, we went out to lunch or anything.
Right, but there was no, like, arguments or fights
I don't think
it didn't get heated or anything like that?
Not that I recall, no. I mean... I would think that would stand out, I would think. Now, again, that's not standing out in my mind.
So you didn't have any problems with her?
Look at her. Fear. Shock. I don't know what else. Look at her face. Oh my word. Loves Wood Heat said, is this where the DNA was stored in a fridge and overlooked for years? Yes, and I think it was misfiled or mislabeled or something. They didn't write Stephanie's name down in many of the files, even though Sherri's parents were like, you got to look at Stephanie, and there were a few tips to say, you got to look at her, but they just didn't. It was one of their own. She was a LAPD detective. So they just never considered her a suspect. They really thought, or covered up, I have no idea, but thought that it was a burglary gone wrong for all those years until eventually, there were new eyes on the case. And they're like, wait a minute, let's just check that DNA again. And yes, they dug through all the files and things and found that evidence, still like it was DNA evidence, like a swab, right at the back of a fridge. So, the 26 years of a cold case, goodness.
Then
No.
you didn't have any issues with her.
No, I mean.
But let me ask you. It seems like you didn't have any issue. Now, did she have an issue with you as far as because now you're telling her, hey, tell them to stop calling. Now, she's like, hey, you figure she'd be threatened by you.
I don't know. I mean.
From what you remember, as far as when you talked to her, maybe you didn't take it as serious, but maybe did she? Maybe she was bugged.
You mean like was she throwing things at me or something, or?
No, that was you, Stephanie. You threw things at her when you attacked her. Things in her home. A vase. Who knows what else. Terrible attack. But she's like, what? Yeah, Bijou Bug says, such bewilderment. Right? She's just like, what? Was she throwing things at me? I mean, that wasn't the question. But okay.
Just, as far as you're trying to explain, like, hey, have him stop calling me, stop playing games.
I tell you, if the conversation, I couldn't even tell you how long the conversation, if you said, did it last a half an hour? Did it last 3 minutes? Did it last 20 minutes? I can't even remember. It's been so long ago, You
just remember talking to her, telling her.
Yeah, and that's why you said, how many times you talked to her? I don't know how many times I talked to her. Maybe it was once, maybe it was twice, maybe it was 3 times. I honestly don't know.
Right.
I don't know what year it was. If he said I met her in such and such year, I'd go, okay, well, I don't even know what year you met her. I graduated from UCLA in 1982. Okay, I graduated in 82. Like I said, I don't know if he graduated. I know he was a little older than I was, so I don't know if he graduated a year before or 2 years before, because people are on different, either on the 4-year program or the 5-year program.
Mm-hmm. What year did you come on the job?
83.
Oh, so almost pretty much immediately after you got out of school?
Yeah, I worked at a law firm for a year.
Yeah, so she was a cop for 2 years before she committed this murder. She was doing really well in her career then already. Can you believe she got away with this for so long? She had a whole career. That's why I'm thinking parole now would be unacceptable. She already had 23 years of freedom before she was even looked at. A whole career, a life, a marriage. She adopted a child with her husband. It's just, wow.
And then came on the job. But anyway, in regards to seeing him, not seeing him, we went to friends' weddings that were, from UCLA. I may have gone to some of his friends' weddings from where he worked. He may have gone to things with me, I mean, I don't know how many times we went to do things, or didn't do things.
Right.
Like I said, his sister, I know his sister, his brother, his sister, I know stayed at my townhouse a number of times. I couldn't tell you how many times.
Right.
I would watch his brother, I should take pictures at a basketball game or two.
Where was your
So we're talking about the brother and the sister and just so close to the family. And yeah, okay. When John had told Stephanie, well, I'm actually engaged, I'm getting married, Stephanie decided to write John's mother a letter to just say she can't understand his decision. She loves him so much. Like, what is this? Yeah, so for her, it's just like if she was in love with John Ruetten, she was also not in love with, but like attached to the whole family. She's part of the family. It's like in her head, it's like already her in-laws type of thing, Okay.
Townhouse at?
in Granada Hills, below the Odyssey.
I don't know the valley.
Oh, I'm sorry. The 405 and the 5. The 405. No, the 405 turns into the 5. The 118. They came down in the earthquake.
Okay.
So.
Okay. And you were saying when you went to see her, would you remember if it was at her house or at the place she worked at?
No, I'm thinking that it was probably. For some reason, I want to say that the hospital seemed that, you know, if you say he got married in 85 or something, I'm thinking that, you know, maybe the hospital was on my way to work in Hollywood. I mean, that's kind of sounding familiar.
Would you have gone on duty?
Oh, no, I'm sure I wouldn't have.
No.
I'm pretty good about not doing stuff.
Oh.
You know, I mean, no, I'm not saying that, you know, you haven't done stuff on duty, but I would have.
Oh, wouldn't do stuff on duty. Yeah, well, just taking that little snippet and thinking it was her day off when she committed the murder as well. You know.
I mean, I would have been working with somebody.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so I wouldn't think. I mean, I try to avoid doing stuff on duty.
Oh,
So.
She's like, I try to avoid doing stuff on duty. You know that she stalked Sherri so much that when Sherri and John were living together, they would get these random calls, like at least once a week in the middle of the night. And they're like, what the hell is this? And sometimes Sherri said she told her dad someone was following her, but it's someone dressed as a boy. So she thinks it's with like piercing eyes. Which, hello, look at these piercing eyes here. She was a stalker, a jealous stalker. Doesn't it remind you so much of Caitlin Armstrong? That type of a vibe?
So you would have gone, if it was en route to work, you more than likely would have gone to her work and had this discussion with her?
I mean, that's sounding familiar. I mean, that's, now that you guys are bringing this stuff up, I mean, that sounds familiar. But again, I mean, you know, what's this got to do with me dating him and, you know, her getting killed? I mean, I don't, you know, I don't have anything to do with it. And you got something that's, somebody said, you know, whatever. I mean.
Well, like we said, we just literally got this the other day, and you're going through it.
Yeah.
And you see.
And you saw me say,
your
oh,
name.
it's next door.
Right, and so, you know, I mean, obviously it's like we recognize the name, and we know that, you know, you work next door to us, and so we're trying to get some background, we're trying to figure this out. I mean, this is from a long time ago.
Oh, I know. And
you know, and things have been.
She was like, I know, it's like 1,000,000 years ago. Kathy says, as if that, you know, Stephanie said this a few times, I try not to do illegal stalky stuff while on duty. Yeah, tries not to do things on duty, okay. Only off duty.
Kind of slow for us, and so, you know, Chief Beck has said, hey, you know, I want you guys working. I don't want you just sitting around reading the paper.
Yeah.
So he's kind of pushing some older cases out even to the guys that work active cases because, you know, and so we see this and we're just like, oh, well, you know, we want to talk to you about it, but of course, the only reason we did it here is because we're getting into some pretty personal stuff in your relationship.
You know, my husband's on the job, and we've been
so
married.
We don't want to take the risk. We don't want to take the risk when one of those interview rooms, and even when the door closed, someone's going to get supplies and sees us on a monitor or hears or whatever.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, I appreciate it. Like I said,
that's where people go when there's orals. You know, when they're doing orals, guys will go in there and try and watch. And go, what are the answers to the questions? You know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we just want to afford you the most privacy and confidentiality we could.
No, I appreciate it. And like I said, I mean, this goes way back, and I mean, it was very sad. You know, obviously, I haven't, you know, when we were in college, some of us would go down to his house in San Diego. I went down to his house with him, you know, with him. And I know, I'm trying to think of some other people that may have gone down.
Is that where he grew up, is down there?
Yeah, down in San Diego.
Oh, okay.
I know his dad.
Like, what does this have to do with anything? Yeah, Stefan says, can we change the subject to art, please? She wants to talk about literally anything else. She's like, yeah, I know it's sad. But anyway, I went down to San Diego with him. Yeah, with him. Okay. And they're like, okay, is that where he grew up? Yeah. That's where he grew up. Okay. Sure. Really wants to avoid the actual topic, right?
Dad was a professor at San Diego State. I don't know if he still is.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what happened to his sister. Don't know what happened to his brother. You know, I'm sure his dad's probably retired by now.
I mean, she just has 11,000 pictures of them.
He was, I think, older even back then.
Right.
And I can't even tell you the last time I had any contact with any of them. It's been so long.
Did he tell you what happened? Like what he heard from the detectives or the police or?
You know what? He may have. For some reason, I'm thinking that, I mean, again, this is like...
Sorry, guys, but Yarn Lover, seriously, this is from June 5th, 2009. If you want to just see it without my commentary, this is not the place for you. We are literally revisiting this with commentary. That's what we do over here. Yes, okay, so... Bella Finn, earlier I put your comment on the screen as well. You said people don't take stalking seriously enough, and stalking is incredibly dangerous. I don't know if you saw my video that I premiered yesterday, you guys. It was a recap of Dr. Amy Harwick's case. And there as well, I was talking about how dangerous stalking is. It can be really scary like this. I mean, you just wouldn't think that she would do this. But stalkers can be really scary.
Drugs or something. I mean, I think I faintly remember him mentioning something maybe about cocaine.
That she was involved with that?
You know, I don't know that he said she was involved or they thought she was. You know, again, it's been so long. You know, he could have mentioned, he could have told me the whole story of what happened. And, I mean, like I said, I'm faintly remember either between him or the flyer that there was some kind of a burglary. You know.
Let me ask you, did the detectives ever reach out to you?
No one's ever talked to me. I don't think anybody ever talked to me about him.
Yeah, they didn't for 23 years. So she's like, what? Here we are on June 5th of 2009. What is this about, you guys? I have photos to sort through, okay? I have a new life. Got a whole career that I've already had. So what is this about, you guys? Yeah, you're about to get arrested.
It seems like back then
you know,
would have been
well, I'm thinking that I did talk to a detective. God. Well, what division was it?
In Van Nuys?
And where was I working?
1986.
I would have been working in Devonshire.
Oh, here she goes again. She's working in Devonshire. Okay, so now let's think again. Here we go again. Another timeline by her. Never offering bullet points. Stephanie Lazarus. She needs to work on her bullet points. She's like, okay, so 86. Right. What else was I going to say? Oh, forgot now.
You know, I'm thinking that I did speak to somebody.
Oh, really?
I couldn't tell you who it was.
Because it doesn't
He was
say
probably
anything.
on the phone.
Okay.
Would have been somebody in regards to this, or just?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know if you said a name, if I would remember it, because I worked Van Nuys for a while.
Ah, that's what I was going to say. Van Nuys. Vannuys. So you guys in the States say Van Nuys, right, for the area. But it's like a very Dutch word, surname. So here it would be like Van Nuys. Van Nuys. In South Africa, Afrikaans, it'll be Van Nuys. Van Nuys. There you go.
Yeah, I worked...
Detectives, patrol?
No, I worked detectives. When did I go to Van Nuys? I worked Devonshire till 88. Then I went to Dare till 92. I worked twice at Van Nuys.
Both as detective?
Yeah. Sometime in the 90s. Yeah, I know before I busted my leg up, I was there in 98, because that year sticks out because I had a really bad leg injury. And I was there prior to that, but I couldn't tell you what year. It was just a few years. I made detective, I think, in...
You hear that? You hear that, Stephanie? Woo! You're about to be arrested. It's just, I wonder if that makes her nervous at all in the background there. Even though she's a cop, it must be like, oh crap. And she should really know better. Doesn't she know as a detective winning all of these awards and doing so well in her career. Like, what she's doing here is going downhill. It's going nowhere. Look at her face. Staring at the ant on the table. That's what it looks like, right? Oh, man. Welcome, Kelly D.
93. So I was at Van Nuys, and then I went back, and then I had a leg injury, and then they transferred me to Devonshire because I couldn't drive.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't drive very far with my bad leg injury. So, but yeah, I think I talked to somebody.
Would you remember any of the conversation as far as what they were looking for? Or?
Couldn't say. I mean, they may have told me. I said, hey, you know, I went to school with him. Either somebody called me or I saw the fly. I may have seen the flyer at that point, and I called up. If someone's name was on the flyer, I may have called to speak to them. I said, hey, if there's anything I can do, you know, call me. This is where I work. You know, I went to school with them.
Mm-hmm.
Couldn't say. I couldn't tell you who it was.
But you do remember that someone you think reached out to you?
You mean a detective?
Yeah, called you up and talked to you.
Or I called them, one of the two. But yeah,
Yeah, right.
You know, I remember talking to somebody, but...
Oh, did you now? Do you remember talking to someone or committing the crime? Which one is it, Stephanie? Look at her face. Look at her face.
I'm thinking it was a man. I'm sure there's probably more men back then.
Yeah, probably
Right,
more.
yeah, I bet.
So, again, that's really all I can remember about that.
Yeah. Let me get back to as far as when you said that John was calling you to see you, and during that time you felt that he was either seeing her, was he engaged or married? Did you know?
Couldn't say.
You don't remember?
I don't know.
Uh-huh. Would he ever?
Well, let's see. My husband.
Did it ever appear?
Well, no, that would have been. Scott moved in '93, so that would have been. You said '86 or '85 or something.
Scott's your only husband? You've never been married?
No, never been married. I got married in I think '96. Well, no, I got married in '96, but he moved.
She's like, I think so. I think it was 96. Yeah, let's go a decade before those, Stephanie. That's what we're referring to over here. She's like, okay.
In '93.
Mm-hmm. But during that time that you were seeing John, you know, was he acting kind of squirrely or kind of sneaking around when he'd hook up with you or anything like that, to make you think, hey, yeah, this
Well,
guy.
he probably was. I mean,
because from the impression I get is you've known him a long time.
well, let's see.
From what? Early
I met him in
80s?
'78. No, I met him in school. I started UCLA in '78.
So you know him well during that period of time.
Yeah, I mean, was he acting squirrely? You know, I don't even remember where he was living then. You know,
You just gotta look at your pictures and then you're gonna know. Probably his creepy little scrapbooks or something with her obsession over here. So I don't even know where he was living. Was he being squirrely? I don't know. Was he a squirrel? Wow. Really playing dumb. I'm just like, no idea.
I don't.
Well, let me ask you, after he hooked up with...
I mean, if he was living on Roscoe or wherever else he was living.
Right.
Well, after he hooked up with Sherri, do you know where they were living?
No, you asked me that already.
Uh-huh.
And I said, well, obviously they were living in Van Nuys division.
Yeah.
I may have known.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, again, did he ever give me the address? Maybe.
I mean, maybe she just rocked up there many times. You know, either in a uniform and arms. Actually, she did pop in a uniform. She's like, I tried to do things off duty. Yeah, sometimes you still stalked in your uniform. Sometimes in workout outfits. She's like, do I remember the house? Well, you sure picked the lock and attacked Sherri and then murdered her. Now she's like, I don't know.
I don't remember. I mean, I don't know.
Because the only reason I'm asking you again is because as we've been talking, I know some stuff has come to you because you're like, oh, it seems like you're So that's why I'm asking if you've ever been to the house.
And when you said Van Nuys division, I'm just... I'm sure he could have told me. I mean, he could have told me. He could have told me where he lived.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever have gone there?
I don't think I've ever gone there. That's what I'm saying. I don't.
Oh, my word.
I don't want to say, no, I've never gone there, and then you say, oh, I was at a party. Because I don't, I don't think so.
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Like I said, we've got these friends, we have parties, my house, their house. I just don't think John ever came to, again, at one point, because
For those joining now, you're joining at a good time because this interview is going to start escalating. So you could see this was from June 5th of 2009, and the murder took place on February 24th of 1986. Oh my word, that's how long it took to get this suspect, who was then the killer, revealed to be the killer, with DNA tests and everything. All that time. Sure, that's a long time. I really feel for Sherri's family.
we knew people from school together. I knew different people. He knew different people. I knew people that he knew from his work, that lived in the valley.
Very vague. It's generally how it goes. If you know someone, you might know someone that they know, and they might know someone. She's being so vague here. She's like, I don't know, man. Just really trying to avoid. But you were there, right? You've been to the house. Sure.
So as far as for social events or
Excuse
anything,
me.
I mean,
No problem.
you're not sure if you ever been to the house because
But it's safe to say that would have been the only time, like for something social.
Yeah, if I went there for something social, yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
because I know you went to talk to her at the hospital regarding this issue with John, to kind of like, hey, what's going to happen here with this thing? But would this ever have followed up to her house when you went to talk to her to say, hey, you know what?
I don't even know that I knew where they lived. That's what I'm saying. If I knew where they lived and I'd been there, if it was for something social, I would, and I can't see how many times I saw her face to face. He lived on Roscoe. Did I ever see her there? I don't know. I mean, I may have seen her at his apartment on.
What a liar. Also, who asked? Deborah says, is there a picture of Sherri? I shared lots of pictures at the beginning of the stream. I did a whole recap of the case, but I will show you this. This is a picture of Sherri with her husband, John Ruetten, who Stephanie Lazarus, the person we're seeing in this interview, the interrogation, she was obsessed with him. And this couple, they were only married for 3 months when Stephanie murdered Sherri because she was so jealous of her. She couldn't handle it. She was so jealous that she went into her house when John had just left for work. So first thing in the morning, like broad daylight, but first thing in the morning, 8ish, 9ish. Whoa, okay. And she went into the house, attacked Sherri, broke a vase over her head, hit her in the face, shot her 3 times in the chest, and dragged her as well. Her fingernails had broken off on the floor and things. It was really a struggle. And then bit her left forearm. After all that, which the coroner said would have been as she died or right after she died. That is so creepy, this freaking Stephanie Lazarus, huh? So, yeah, this is a picture of Sherri with John.
Roscoe.
Mm-hmm.
I may have met her there. I mean.
But you didn't have any issues with her, right?
No, I mean, obviously, if he was dating me and dating her, I probably said, hey, pick or something,
Fair.
back
That's
then.
fair.
I can't say that we ever screamed or, he was a pretty mellow guy, I think I was pretty mellow. I don't think we had some big, huge blow up to say, why we stopped dating or, and I even think that when I was dating him, I was probably, like I said, I was probably going out with other guys and he was probably going out with other girls.
Right.
I don't know.
I mean, would you remember if she snapped on you and just like, hey man, it's my man, you leave him alone, blah blah blah, that kind of stuff? I mean, would you remember an incident like that? I mean, because that would be like, what?
Well, and maybe that happened. I mean, gosh, it's been so long ago. I mean, that's not ringing a bell.
Because the times I've seen you around at our office,
I'm crazy.
but you're always kind of like real.
She literally says, I'm crazy. Probably another tactic to downplay, right? But just like, yeah, when you see me around the office, I'm crazy. I'm that crazy lady. Okay. They called it Lazarus behind her back sometimes at work because she had like anger issues sometimes because of all the faces that she made. Whoa.
You seem kind of bubbly.
Oh, people think I'm really hyper, but I can get upset, and then I forget 5 seconds later, you know how guys razz you and you go, I've done that in the office,
Okay then. Nope. That was just scary. Also, Adelace, am I saying it right? You said the description of their relationship sounded like Jodi Arias and Travis Alexander's relationship, where it was just a booty call type thing to him, but for her it was serious. That's so true. It reminds me of that too, as well. You're right. Jodi Arias, sure.
But it's like, people
Water
think,
under the bridge.
Yeah, it's like people think I'm crazy, and then they think I'm crazy at home, and I'm a hyper person at work. I enjoy my job. I get excited. I enjoy the job. I've always enjoyed the job.
Well, you got a good gig, so.
I don't know. It's like I said, this stuff's been so long ago. I'm sure.
Millions of years, we know. Millions of years, millions of pictures. Yes, saying the same thing over and over. She probably thinks, do you think at this point she thinks she's winning them over and just being so total, chilled, and she's going to walk away or what? Imagine if she did just walk away and you're like, phew, that was a close call. What she'd be saying to herself. Katrina Mullis is asking, is this her first parole hearing? This was the very first time, yes, that she saw the parole suitability board and it has been recommended for parole. So it's the very first time, yes. I think it's a little early. She's only been in there 11 years. So I hope she doesn't get granted parole. I can't imagine what Sherri's family would feel about that. That does not feel like justice.
As soon as I walk out of here, I'll go, oh shoot, it's 25 things I'll remember.
But you'll call us, or you'll just come over to our desk and
tell
us.
I don't know what else you need to know. Like I said, we knew friends together. A lot of the friends that we socialized in the dorms, I would say, there was a group of us that we were all really close. Even this one guy I was thinking of, Diana Basta. We were all really close. I haven't talked to her in a million years.
Diana Basta being a friend of you and John's? Or?
Yeah, we all lived on...
Another random name to throw around that she hasn't talked to in, a million years. Wow.
On the dorms together. I don't know if she lived on the same... I'm trying to think. I know John lived on our floor because his roommate was Dave Newman. Dave Newman now is a big shot, whatever, movie producer, director, something, I don't know.
And that was John's roommate?
Yeah.
Oh,
and then the guys that lived across from me, Jim Jaskell and Roy Suckaboo, something like that. They lived across from me. Diana Basta, I don't know if she lived on our floor. Maybe she was the RA. Diane Sherman.
These poor investigators that have to put up with this crap while she's going through her, list of names in her head. Kathleen says, as soon as I walk out here. Yeah, she's still not getting it. As soon as I walk out here. Yeah, you ain't walking out of here, lady. You're going to get arrested.
And because I still remain friends with Diane Sherman. Not that I'm not friends with the other people. I just don't see them. A gal named Smita. Sally. Kathleen. So we were all on the floor. Some of them were athletes, some of them weren't. I said...
Some were, some weren't, some were at the same dorm, some weren't, some studied this, some did that. It was a million years ago. Nomfix says, maybe they'll... I like this one. Maybe they'll give her parole in a million years. Then she'll understand. Yeah, I'm almost hoping that it's like setting her up for failure. Like giving her just a little bit of hope and then, nope, off you go. Parole denied. Really hope so.
John played basketball. His brother played basketball. I played basketball at UCLA for 2 years. One of the girls swam on the team. One was on the crew team. So we all did stuff together. And then I'd say after we all graduated, we went to weddings. You know, I went to weddings.
But Sherri wasn't part of this circle.
No, I don't even know how he met her. I don't even know where. I mean, I don't know where he met her from. I don't even know.
We know you don't know, because there you were throwing him a surprise birthday party, and he's like, what the hell? I have a girlfriend. She was already pretending to be his, you know, almost fiance. She was pretending to be his girlfriend. She was obsessed with him. Surprise, happy 25th birthday, what the hell? He's like, what are you doing, Stephanie? I'm in a relationship. She's like, what? You're in a relationship? She didn't know. That I think she didn't know at the time. She was shocked to find out you date other people? You're in a serious relationship? You're engaged. Oh man, he got married. She was like so taken aback by that. But yeah, now she's just like, wait, what? I didn't even know. You could hear it here a little bit, but she's like, I didn't even know how he met her or where. You could almost hear that anger a little bit again, huh? Okay.
So he told me where he met her from. I mean, he may have told me. You know, that's not ringing a bell. And there was lots. I mean, you know, there was other people that knew other people. You know, that were friends of everybody's. You know. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
Well, one of the concerns I had is looking at some of the notes is some of Sherri's friends said that you and her were having a problem because of the John situation.
Look at her, look at her, look at her. Look at her face. She's like, what? Damn. Yeah, take that in. She's like, wait, what? Some of her friends were saying that we were having a problem. No, absolutely not.
Well, number one, I don't know who her friends are. Because again, I don't recall if he did tell me where he met her. I don't know even who these friends are. A problem, like I said, if I spoke to her, I mean, I'll go on as far as a limb, and I don't even want to say I spoke to her 5 times, because that's probably not even true. I can't even remember. Again, did I meet him at her place when he lived on Roscoe for, I think, quite a while, but I couldn't tell you how long he lived on Roscoe.
She's super nervous now, speaking a little faster now, just like, I just went, okay, oh. Oh, the anxiety just went up.
And the only reason I remember the place now is because it's like a huge dope place now.
Where now you remember it.
It may have been back then, but, you know, maybe we didn't know back then. I could have met her there. I could have, you know, you know, I don't even know that I met any of their friends. I can't say that. I don't know that that's a true statement.
Well, that's what I'm reading, is that you guys have problems with each other and words are being exchanged, and it's all relating to John.
You know what? I can't say.
You can't say?
No,
Nope, shrug it off. Can't say. No idea. Just play it down. She's probably telling herself, be cool, be cool. Just pretend you don't know anything, but like, hello, lady, you're a detective. Come on, man. You should know already at this point. You better be asking for a lawyer. You should have already long ago. No one's buying this story, right? So we've still got 25 minutes worth of footage, but it's not all interrogation footage. We're almost done with that. The last clip that I have in this, that I prepared for you, is actually her brother speaking. And at the time, he really thought she was innocent. Like, what? Why is she arrested? So I just thought we could have a look at that as well.
It doesn't even ring a bell. I mean,
it seemed like, yeah, you would recall something if somebody's going off on you, right?
I would think. I would think.
Yeah, because it's...
But that's, you know...
Because it seems like your relationship with John was kind of... I mean, you've known each other for a lot of years.
Yeah, it was just kind of... It was like...
But it doesn't seem to me, from what you're telling me...
I mean, we were never engaged. I mean, it wasn't like we were planning to get married.
Yeah, we know. And we know that you know. You stole the marriage certificate. That's how jealous she was. that John married Sherri. She's like, it's not like we got engaged. You know, we were not getting married. Yeah, again, you can hear the anger and the pain of the stalker. So obsessed, that was so obsessed with, I hope she's not anymore, oh my word. But these stalkers never stop, you know, you never know. Another reason I think she should never get out.
You know, it was like, it was, I don't know how to describe it. I mean...
Would you say there wasn't a lot of drama in this relationship?
Oh, no, I don't think there was drama.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
I mean...
That's why I'm asking, as far as what the friends are saying in regards to this, you know, the problems that they're saying you were having with Sherri. I mean, it seems like the relationship is just going on an even plane.
That just, I don't have a recollection of that at all.
No?
No.
And, because from what you're telling me is when you guys met at the hospital, I mean, you guys talked, but it wasn't, from what you recall, confrontational
I don't think so.
from either side?
I mean, I'm trying to, you know, turn my memory back.
She's trying to turn her memory back. Did you see that? Manual adjustment of memory. Can't quite remember. You don't remember going there to threaten her, to warn her? John is mine.
You know, and I'm trying, I can't even picture the, you know, the conversation. I mean, I can't even picture the conversation.
Well, let me ask you, I mean, at the hospital, it never got to the point where people are going, hey, you know, everybody go to your own corner type of thing?
I don't think so.
Nothing like that?
I don't think so. I mean, I really don't. I mean, if you say people said that, that's not ringing a bell to me at all. I mean, it's not. I mean, that's not.
It's always amazing in these interrogations how they start over animating everything and the hands start flying and start talking about directions. Huh? She's already doing that now. She's becoming unhinged.
Ringing a bell to me at all.
Was there ever a time when you and Sherri were talking and John had to maybe go like, hey, you guys relax, you know, or anything like that?
I think so.
About, you know, ever going to her house and having a dispute like that?
You know, if I met her ever at his apartment, maybe. I mean, maybe we could have met I could have met at her apartment. I'm thinking that the hospital thing, that sounds familiar, that I met her there. I just can't say that I've ever, again, was I there with other people? I don't know. I don't think I ever met her there or him there, meaning one or the other. I don't think so. I can't.
Yeah, you were alone with her, in her home, and attacked her, first thing in the morning. Yeah, February 24th, 1986, and she thought she got away with it. Oh, look how much time had passed before this interview happened.
I don't think so.
Because I mean, I know the way my wife is. At our house, she wouldn't want my own girlfriends there, you know. So I don't know if maybe she had the same mentality towards you, as far as you ever being there, or being welcome there, you know. Because it's.
You know what? If somebody said I was there when they were there, then that's possible. Mm-hmm. But I don't recall. I mean, I don't think so. It's not sounding familiar.
Yeah, because I guess basically what I'm asking is, you know, were you ever welcome to the house? Like, you know, hey.
Oh, come over?
Yeah, come on over. We're having a barbecue, you know, a dinner party, Christmas party, whatever.
You know, I don't know.
You know,
I'm just trying to think.
Look at her face. Just trying to think. I don't know if I ever showed up invited. I only remember being uninvited. Yeah, unannounced, uninvited visits. Was I ever invited? No.
You know, like I said, because there were so many of us that the two Dianes, Jim Jaskell, Roy, Smita, this gal Smita, another friend of ours, Beth. She passed. It seems like everybody I know passing away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, red flag.
She passed away. She was a child diabetic and got very ill. We would all socialize. Like I said, I don't think John ever. It's hard. I don't want to say he never socialized with us. You know, it's been. I'd have to almost go back and look at pictures, because I take pictures. I mean, I usually when I go to functions, I have 10,000 pictures. Okay?
Yeah, we're back to the
I'm
pictures.
A picture nut.
Said a stalker. I'm a picture nut. Motto of stalker. Right? She's like, look, We already talked about this was millions of years ago. I've already named a lot of people that are not relevant to this interrogation. So you know what? We're going to go back to talking about those 10,000 pictures.
Let me ask, when you were seeing John, would you, I take it he would pick you up in his car, you go in her, your car, things of that nature, when you guys would go out?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Do you remember what he drove?
Well, I know at one time he drove either a 240 or 260Z.
Any other cars that stand out in your mind?
Look, it's llama face time. Well, I don't know what to call it, barbel face. She's going to do fishy face now. Look at her go. Oh, my word. Yeah. That just escalated and crazy quickly, huh? Oh, man. Okay, wait. We've got to just go back slightly. Look at this. Look at it go.
He would pick you up in his car, you go in her, your car, things of that nature, when you guys would go out?
Well, yeah, I mean...
Do you remember what he drove?
Well, I know at one time he drove either a 240 or 260Z.
Any other cars that stand out in your mind?
Look.
I don't know how long he drove that 240.
This is stuff of nightmares that, oh man. Frank Reeves says she's gurning. You know what I know? You watched the behavior panel. I learned that word too. I'm like, gurning. She's got that extreme turtling going on. Oh no, Lindsay says I'm going to have nightmares, lol. I think we're all going to have nightmares. A little bit, huh? Oh dear.
Or your 260Z for. And the only reason I say that is because I think I may have a picture of it with him in it.
What kind of car did you have back then?
Let's see. What year?
Or are you like one of those young cops that's like, oh, I got a paycheck and bought a new car?
Oh, no. I've only had like a few cars in my whole life.
So what'd you have when you came on the job?
Oh no, she's like, I can't even mimic it, oh my word. And I'm good at faces. I can't do this one. She's like, oh no, it's just horrible. So cringy, right?
My first car was a 68 Chevelle. 68 Chevelle. And then I had a Toyota, some kind of a Toyota hatchback, but I forget what the name of it was.
Like a Corolla or Tercel or something like that.
Tercel.
Yeah.
And then I had my truck.
Did you ever have any problems with your cars?
Like what?
Just anything in general, car wrecks, anything.
Look at her, she's like, like what? What kind of car trouble are we talking about? I mean, where is she? Whoa.
Stolen.
Yeah, no, my car's never been stolen. Oh, no, crashed, hit and run.
Oh, you just stole Sherri's car. Okay.
My Tercel was hit and run. Again, I got pictures of the hit and runs. I don't think any of my cars had ever been stolen. No. My cars haven't been stolen. Broken into.
None of that, huh?
They're like, none of that, huh? Look at her. None of that, huh? Do you remember? I wish I would ask her, like, so do you remember stealing Sherri's car? Why'd you buy it her? You know, that would be like, wait, what? That would be this face as well. It'd also be like, oh.
Oh yeah, my cars have been broken into. But no cars have ever been stolen.
Libby 3 says, why did it take so long to solve this murder? Because she was an LAPD police officer and they don't suspect their own. That's one of the main reasons. They were just like, nope, this is a burglary. And they just locked on that scenario. I think it's called scenario lock, actually. That's what they stuck with. They're like, this is a burglary, it's a botched burglary, that's it. And they just never looked at her. until they were new detective, new management, fresh set of eyes, and they're like, okay, let's try solve some of these cold cases, because Sherri's case was most definitely a cold case, and they got some more funding, and of course the technology had improved so much and evolved so much over all those years. Thankfully, that swab was still there. Not filed properly, but still, it was way back, manually filed in some refrigerator that they actually had to go and dig out and like, here it is. Now let's test this DNA again. And then they were like, whoa, this DNA belongs to a female, and it's from the bite mark on Sherri's arm. So they tested that. They're like, this is a female. So now who are we going to look at? And they actually had 5 suspects that they looked at, and they got the DNA, and they ruled them all out except for one. That was Stephanie Lazarus, and she worked at the LAPD. So they're like, oh man. So they called her number 5 because they didn't want to tip anyone in the department off as well. It was like a super covert mission, right, to investigate her, get her DNA without her knowing, of course. It's that, when you chuck a cup or whatever away, which she did. They followed her around for a few days. She went to a Costco. She had a soda and something to eat, and they took that cup that she threw in the trash, tested the DNA, and it was an exact match to the DNA found on Sherri's arm. All those years later, they were shocked. They're like, what? One of our own? Like, literally one of our own. Some people speculate it was a complete cover-up. Others say it was they just assumed it was a burglary, especially because there were 2 other burglaries that happened on that street right after this murder happened. 2 guys with a .38 caliber pistol. Again, there's rabbit holes in this case everywhere you look. And there's actually, I could probably make 6 episodes on this case. There's so much to discuss. There's documents and there's photos and there's, of course, think of all the years that this case has gone on. Anyway, so I hope that answered the question there.
Hold on. Well, tell me about this car getting broken into.
Well, my car has been broken into several times.
Oh, really? Did you ever lose anything, or?
Yeah. Now that you mention it, let's see.
Yeah, what was it? Oh, I know what they're getting at. I forgot now. I was just like, wait. Her gun was stolen. Remember, she reported her gun stolen 13 days after Sherri was murdered. Stephanie Lazarus did not report her gun stolen to her own department. No, to the Santa Monica Police Department. She reported her gun stolen there. That .38 caliber.
Gun that was stolen.
There it is.
I had other stuff that was stolen.
Not your duty gun, was it?
No.
Oh, that's good. Was it ever recovered?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. Not that I know of.
Never been notified?
No. The car's been broken into, several times.
Where did that happen? When your gun?
So crime scene photo says that, that's a good pause I made there, right? The criminalist discovered the DNA, but covered it up for some years. Google the lawsuit. So she discovered it in 2006. Her name was Jennifer. What was her surname again? Yes, and then in 2009, only then. So it took 3 more years. It became a cold case again. Oh my word, this case has been through so much. Her family has been through so much. And when they eventually were like, her DNA matches, Stephanie, they're like, I knew it. They knew it all along. Wow.
Was taken.
Mm-hmm. Trying to remember. I'm sure you guys must know. Because my car was broken into in Ventura. I think in Santa Monica. I have relatives that live in Santa Monica and Venice.
Who lives there?
My uncle. Well, I had several uncles. Could have been Santa Monica, Venice. My car's broken into in Ventura before.
Santa Monica rings a bell.
Is your mom still around, or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Your dad?
Yeah, but I don't really have much of a relationship with my dad. So I couldn't tell you where he lives if you want to know.
Oh, really?
No. Yeah, couldn't tell you.
Well, like I said, as we were looking at the case, and we had read the notes as far as from Sherri's friends saying you guys had problems or words, and they got heated. And the reason we're asking you is they had mentioned that an incident at her work had occurred, and they've also told us that an incident at her house occurred.
You know what?
And this is at her house during the period of time that they're married.
Oh, laughing it off
That does
again.
not sound familiar at all. I mean, you know what?
She's like, you know what? That chin is coming out, guys. It's just like, you know what? Fishy face, chin, lima face, it's all happening. You know what? Just not sounding familiar at all.
That's just not sound. Again, if someone says that I was at her house and I had an incident with her, that just doesn't sound. Was John there? Did John say this happened? And other people were there. I don't recall. I mean, it just doesn't sound, familiar.
And this is an incident where you showed up. You weren't supposed to show up, and things got heated.
At his house?
Yeah.
That just doesn't sound familiar. I mean,
Nothing.
no. It's not sounding familiar.
So
Not at all.
now you're saying not familiar because it's just something you remember, or it's just.
You know what? I'd have to say I don't remember, because I don't remember. That doesn't sound familiar.
I mean, would you remember something like that in your life?
Well, I would think, but
Some sort of drama involving, the other woman type of thing.
Did you ever fight with her?
You mean like we fought?
Yeah. Did you ever duke it out with her?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
You'd remember that, right? That would be pretty
yeah, I would think so.
pretty specific.
Yeah, like I said, I mean,
traumatic.
obviously, it just doesn't sound familiar. I mean, what are they saying? So I fought with her. So now I'm getting the jump, the leap. Excuse me, I haven't eaten. They're saying, okay, I fought with her, so I must have killed her.
Look at her face. Her eyes are now going like huge. See, that's the Eileen Wernos face I'm talking about. It's just like crazy eyes now. Sure, and she's like, oh, I understand the leap. So what you saying now? We had a fight, and so I did this. I killed her. Yeah. Yes, pretty much.
I mean, come on. I mean, that's, I don't even know who these people are. I can't even say I met any of these people. I mean, it's insane.
It's insane, you guys. She doesn't even know who these people are. How's that for distancing language? I don't know who these people are. I haven't met these people. Of course, the friends who are saying, but you did have a problem with her. You fought with her. What? Who are these people? I don't know who they are. What are you guys trying to say?
If it happened, I honestly don't remember it. That's all I can tell you.
But I don't know. Would it be something you would remember? Because I don't know if any other intense incidents in your life that have occurred, you'd recall those, right?
Well,
like a use of force at work or a car crash, something you're involved in, you'd be like, yeah, I remember.
You would think I would remember. I would think if it was something that crazy. I can't say, you say, how many fights have you gotten into, in your life? A few at work.
Well, fights at work are kind of different because we've all had use.
A few at work? Okay. Anger management. Look at it. What? Been in a few fights in my life. What are you trying to ask me? It's an interrogation, Stephanie, about Sherri's murder. In case you haven't gathered, it's not about the 10,000 photos or the millions of years ago or every person you ever knew. Sure. Exhausting always watching these, right? It's so intense. But here we go.
This is a force or whatever. But
well, I haven't even had a lot of those.
Right, but if you're actually,
I played.
Like if Dan and I got mad at each other and we threw blows in the squad room, 20 years later, I would remember it.
I would think I would remember it, but
unique.
that's what I'm saying. That's not sounding familiar to me at all.
Let me ask you. Throughout your life, would you remember the number of fights you've been involved in? And I don't mean kind of like a bump or something, just a physical fight where everybody's hitting each other, scratching, pulling, whatever.
Maybe. I can't say I've been in a lot. I played sports.
Yeah.
You get into scuffles there, and
and you recall some of those, right?
Yeah, I can recall some of them.
Games get intense.
But like I said, you saying this is just not ringing a bell.
Nothing.
But I don't know what to tell you. That's just not ringing a bell to me.
It'd be something
I would think I would remember.
Yeah.
I mean,
If you're in this,
I would think so too.
if you're in this other girl's house and
but
words are exchanged, I mean, you figure you recall.
I would think.
Especially if it got physical, right?
Well, I would think.
And it's relating to, you know, a guy that you were dating, and but
Well,
she's dating now, you know, and it's just
yeah.
kind of like a whole love triangle type of thing.
And the love triangle only existed in Stephanie's head. Busy Betsy says she has shrunk so much in her chair since the beginning of this interrogation. Use the light switch behind her to compare the beginning to now, right?
I mean, you figure you'd remember that, right?
Well, I would think.
She's so red.
So,
I mean, I don't know what to still tell you.
yeah. No, because I'm looking at the notes, and these people are kind of, I mean, they're pointing the finger at you,
Well,
and
I mean, that's not ringing a bell to me. So, you know, I don't know. You know, it's I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that just sounds crazy to me.
yeah. So you, offhand, you don't recall ever going into her house and having words and physically, you know,
No, I
attacking
mean,
her attacking you,
no,
nothing like that?
no. I mean, that's no,
Nothing.
no.
Like, how many times could she be like, no, 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 no? One no would be fine. Stephanie, she's falling apart now. She's like, no, no, absolutely not. That's crazy. Okay.
Not at all.
Okay. Well, on some of the, on this case, you know, it occurred in '86, right? Detectives processed the scene, things of that nature. They did fingerprints and all that stuff.
Yes,
You
yes,
know,
tell.
the standard stuff. I mean, you did
Yeah,
been
yeah.
doing this longer than I have.
Tell her.
Well, I don't know about that. I got 26 years on, going on 26.
19, so. But, you know, as they processed everything, they did the best they could at that time, and they looked at a lot of people and different things in this case. And you're right.
I mean, if you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, then, you know, I got a problem with, you know, with that.
Okay.
Okay? So, you know, if you're...
He's like, okay. Wait. She's like, she can't handle what he's saying. If you guys are claiming that I'm a suspect, yeah, I've got a problem with it. It's like, okay. So it just carries on.
If you're doing this as an interrogation, you're saying, hey, I'm a suspect. Well, now I got a problem with, you know, now you're accusing me of this? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out what happened, Stephanie.
Well, I'm just saying, you know, do I need to get a lawyer if you're accusing me of this? You know.
You don't have to. I mean, you know,
I'm just,
you're here of your own free will.
I mean, you're a detective, so you should know. Stephanie Lazarus? She's like, you guys are accusing me? Is this now an interrogation? What did you think it was? Like, did you talk about art at all? Did you talk about what they actually called you there for? No, it's been an interrogation from day one. Well, from the moment she sat down. I mean, now she's like, what? Do I need a lawyer? Ask the detective to another detective.
Well, I mean,
no, I know, but
I mean, you know, you're not under arrest. You can walk out.
You can leave whenever you like.
Well,
But,
you know, I'm trying to give you some background of, you know, how I knew him, and now you're telling me that somebody's saying that we had this big old fight, and I don't even know what you're talking about. You know, and I don't want to, you know, get in trouble for something that I didn't even do, or you're saying I did something.
okay.
Yeah, we understand.
I mean, how would you guys like it if the tables were turned on you?
I understand. No.
No, that's what we're telling you. I mean, you're.
She's like, how would you like it? You know, trying to now relate, build that rapport again. It didn't work all the other time. Just like, how would you guys like it? This is not fair.
Free to go whenever you want. If this makes you uncomfortable and you want to,
Well, now you're starting to make me uncomfortable.
The thing is, I mean, detectives did what they could at that time on the crime scene. Okay, and the burglary thing you're talking about, that is an angle that they looked at. I go, but now we're looking at everything else on the case. Because nobody was ever arrested on the case.
I don't know that or not.
Okay. Now, what we'd
Yeah,
like
you
to
do.
is, obviously you know about all the DNA stuff and things of the nature that, you know, gets done on cases nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if we asked you for a DNA swab, would you be willing to give us one?
Maybe. Because now,
Yeah, because
now
now...
I'm thinking I probably need to talk to a lawyer.
Okay.
I mean,
Well,
Because I know how this stuff works, okay? Don't get me wrong, you're right, I have been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
And I wish I had been recording this because now it sounds like, there's, you're selling these people saying I'm fighting with her, and now it sounds like you're trying to, I've been doing this a long time.
Yeah.
We know.
Okay? And now it almost sounds like you're trying to pin something on me.
No,
now
but-
I got that sense.
Well, what it gets to on these cases, and
When she's like, I've been doing this a long time. I've got that sense now. Oh, now you've got that sense. Only now? You playing it cool? You thought you're gonna manipulate your way out of this one, did you?
as well as I do. Our job is to identify and eliminate
I
suspects.
can't believe this.
So, if we ask you to the point to give us a DNA sample, a buccal swab, so we can identify or eliminate you, would you be willing to do that?
Maybe.
Well,
Because I know this,
well, that's where we're at, too. I mean, because
No,
right
answer's
now,
maybe.
from looking at the evidence, it's possible we may have some DNA at the location.
that's great.
And we're going to do what we can to try to put this thing together. And your name's in the book. These people are pointing at you for whatever reason.
I don't know why.
And-
That's just crazy. I mean, that's absolutely crazy.
And
Absolutely
it would be
crazy.
irresponsible on our part not.
Isn't it just absolutely crazy? The way she says that never works. We see that in many of these interrogations, just like, that is absolutely crazy. Well, amazing how those crazy ideas that the investigators have so often work out, huh? You're busted.
To look at it.
I know. You guys have to do your job, and I guess I'm gonna have to contact somebody. So,
That's fair.
I mean, because I know how this stuff works. I
Sure.
mean, I just can't believe it.
I mean, we understand that. I mean, if we were in your position, I mean, we would feel the same way.
I just can't even believe it. I mean, it's just. I mean, I'm shocked. I'm really shocked that somebody would be saying.
Yeah, like so shocked. 23 years later. What are you guys interviewing me now for? It's been 23 years. Yeah, it has. And all that time she thought she got away with it.
That I did this. I mean, we had a fight, and so I went and killed her. I mean, come on.
Well,
That's.
okay.
All right.
Well, thanks for giving me the courtesy. I wish I
Okay, so she walks out for a bit and then she's back. So just give it a second.
could record it.
Thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, Stephanie, take care.
All right.
Like, thanks for your time. And arrested.
This is absolutely crazy.
Have a seat, Stephanie.
This is insane.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Stephanie, you know you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes,
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
yes,
You have the right to the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
yes.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge before any questioning if you want. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us right now?
No.
She's like,
Okay.
no.
It's crazy. This is I'm like in shock. I'm totally in shock.
And that's literally it, you guys. She gets cuffed and arrested and taken to the jail, and that was in 2005, right? She went to 2009. Wait, why am I mixing up my dates now? 2009. She went to trial in February of 2012, so she got 1,000 days credit for the time that she had spent in the jail. Sure. Okay.
Well, it's
Absolutely crazy.
and it would be irresponsible on our part not to look at it.
I know. Absolutely.
All right, Stephanie, take care.
All right.
One more time. Yeah, this was the same day. Same day.
This is absolutely crazy.
Absolutely crazy.
This is insane.
Okay.
And look how low she's sitting now. So low. And not so animated anymore. Now she's like, yes. Yes.
Give me 1 second. Okay. Stephanie, you know you have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes,
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
yes,
Coward
You
in
have
the
the right to
corner.
the presence of an attorney before and during any questioning. Do you understand?
yes.
If If you cannot afford an attorney, one will be appointed for you free of charge before any questioning if you want. Do you understand?
Yes.
Do you want to talk to us right now?
No.
All right.
Okay.
This
then.
is crazy.
Okay.
This is I'm like in shock. I'm totally in shock.
Totally in shock. We believe her. Okay, so hold on one second.
My
here.
name is.
Okay, so now we're gonna look at the last little clip. We've got about 6 minutes left or so of footage that I've got for you. This is her brother from April 20th of 2010. So after she was arrested, she was in jail, and she had a $10 million bond. Like, sure, that was high. Eh? $10 million bond, of course. And especially knowing that her husband was an LAPD detective too. So she was a flight risk and had connections and things, okay? But there she was arrested, there she sat in jail, then she went to trial in February of 2012, and then she was found unanimously guilty by the jury and sentenced to 27 to life, okay, with 1,000 days of credit. And then the thing is, parole, initially when I read, like 2 years ago, when I covered this with you guys, if you were there, I don't think that episode's actually on my channel anymore. It was like way back, beginning days, 500 subs, right? We went over the interrogation before. And there, I think they said in her initial date that she would be eligible for parole would be like 2034. But now here we are at the end of 2023, and she's just had a parole suitability hearing November 16th of 2023. And if successful, she might be released in July of 2024. I mean, that's crazy. To me, that's absolutely crazy. I don't think she should be. Okay, so I just wanted to show you what her brother said here. He was in shock. He was just like, what? She didn't do this. So let's hear what he says.
Stephen Lazarus. I'm the brother of Stephanie Lazarus. Stephanie is the Los Angeles police detective who's currently charged with a 23-year-old cold case homicide in Los Angeles, California. I decided to make this YouTube video as a way to publicly speak out and express myself on the issue of bail in her case. I would like to say first, though, that my heart personally and our family's heart collectively go out to the Rasmussen family. Bottom line, there are no words to express the sorrow in a situation like this, other than for me to say our heart goes out to their family. And with that said,
I think that was nice, right? We've never heard her say it. We heard, I mean, she's never admitted to murdering Sherri until she had her parole suitability hearing in November this year. And there she admitted that she murdered her, but she downplayed it and made it as if it was manslaughter. You know, it's just a misunderstanding. So I don't think she's going to get parole. Do you think so?
I would like to give you a little bit of background for those of you who don't know Stephanie. You know, Stephanie is just about to turn 50 years old. She is an amazing sister. She is she's a great wife to.
So now she's 63.
To her husband. She's a solid wife. She is a beautiful mother to her daughter. She is a beautiful daughter, and I just can't stress those things enough. You know, Stephanie is a pillar in our family. Bottom line, she's a pillar in our community and in her community and her neighborhood. There is just not enough time to express all of the wonderful giving things Stephanie does on a daily basis for people. Throughout her life, she's been that way as long as I can remember her. And I say that, you know, and I don't want to understate the fact that she is a 26-year police detective. She's a veteran of the Los Angeles Police Department. And quite frankly, I don't think I'm misspeaking in saying she has never had a disciplinary problem in her 26 years with the police department. I do know that she has more decorations, more commendations, more awards than I can even remember. I do know that I've been to both of her ceremonies when she won Detective of the Year. Those are awards that are given out by her peers. So her fellow detectives voted her Detective of the Year twice in her career.
That's how terrible her crime is. She had a lot of potential. She had a great career. She had a great life. But guess what? She murdered someone. Right? I'm going to link this video for you if you want to watch the whole thing. But it's really, obviously, singing his sister's praises, trying to get them to reduce the $10 million bond amount, which obviously that never worked. And then this was April 20th, 2010. She went to trial February of 2012. She was found guilty in March of 2012 and sentenced 27 to life. Okay. So I hope that you guys enjoyed that revisit, a blast from the past. Like, wow. And I hope that we can show support to Sherri's family and friends, because they are absolutely outraged, you know, that they're even talking about the possibility of parole for Stephanie Lazarus. It's only been 11 years. My goodness. No possibility. I wish it was LWAP, right? My word. Okay. I wanted to show you as well. Just hold on one second. Where was it? No, I don't have it now. There's also some transcripts for after Stephanie was taken out of that room, after she was arrested. So I was reading through some of those earlier as well. And she's just the whole time like, this is crazy. The whole time when they're busy cuffing her and everything, she's like, oh man, I can't believe this is so crazy. So yeah, so crazy all the way to trial, all the way to guilty. And even there, she looked so shocked, you know, when they came back with the verdict, like, what? She appealed immediately, didn't win that. Shame. And Sherri's parents have sued the LAPD before. There's been a couple of lawsuits along the way. I heard somewhere that the LAPD became immune to being sued in 1988 or something like that. Is that correct? Because I saw there were more lawsuits filed in 2011. I don't know, but they've been trying to also get their own justice for the harm that was caused to them, the emotional distress, because all along they were even saying, we'll pay for DNA tests. Just can you investigate this cold case of our daughter, that Sherri, properly? Rule people out. And the LAPD declined. No, thank you. Wow. So the real point of today was to bring you the news that I saw in my news feed. Okay, thanks Google. I was like, wait, what? When I read this the other morning, sipping coffee, got this news there, and I'm like, what? Read this? Excuse me? She might be eligible for parole? Wait. And then I looked at it, I'm like, no. So yeah, she's passed her parole suitability hearing, and now the next steps happen. I don't know if she's going to get it though. I really hope not. I hope that we don't meet again with this case saying, oh my word, they let her out. I really hope not. That does not feel like justice. She lived her whole life, a whole career, marriage, adopted a child, lived a great life, and then got caught 23 years later. She must have felt so smug, right? So Liza says a parole suitability just means she'll go before a parole board. So she did the parole suitability November 16th, and they recommended her for parole. Okay, you say they rarely grant parole. They just state when her next parole will be held. So they're talking about if successful, she could be released within 6 months. Where's that article? There's within 6 months, so by July of 2024. I really hope not. Really hope not. Anyway, so that was I know the topic is very grim, but that was fun to revisit that interrogation. It's one of those classics, right? Now it's back on my channel because we snarked it up way back when I had terrible low light. I don't know if you remember. If any of you were there, let me know, okay? Email me, grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com. And if you work the case, or if you have information to share, or anything you want to share with me, grizzlytruecrime@gmail.com is my email. I don't often respond to emails because I get so many of them. It's really hard, you know, and I want to be fair and equal to everyone. If I respond to one, I want to respond to all, and I just can't do that. But I do read them all, okay? So send me an email if you have something that you want to share with me. And Lavender said, thank you for an enjoyable live stream. Love a civilized crowd. Thank you, Lavender. And welcome to all the new Grizzlies. If you are new here and this is the first time that you're seeing this channel, my name is Grizzly K. I am South African, if you're wondering what's that accent. Okay, I'm living in the Netherlands. And over here at Grizzly True Crime, we love documents, deep dives, presentations, interrogations, map time, snarky time, all of that. That's what we do over here. So if you like the vibe, I hope that you will consider subscribing and coming back for whatever we do next, okay? I do want to work through some of these. There's lots of documents available. There's a lady called, wait, what is her name? It's up here somewhere. Betsy A. Ross. She's done incredible work on this case. She's got a whole blog and she's got so many documents she uploaded and things. So like, damn, Betsy. She did a great deep dive on this over the years. You know, it's like a go-to source for things like that. So I want to look through some of those. If there's anything interesting to bring to you, I certainly will do that as well. Okay. Yeah, Frank Reeves says, I wish that they added on the 23 years she managed to evade conviction. Me too. 27 to life plus 23. That would have been amazing. Just LWOP as well would have been great. Already, if she got life without parole, right? It still wouldn't have quite felt like justice because she lived 23 years. As if she got away. Well, she did. She got away with it for 23 years. Sure. I'm just so glad that they actually caught her. What a crazy one to bite the victim after her death. Whoa. That's how she got caught. So, as you know, I like to waffle at the end, which means blab on a bit because I don't like to go. I never like leaving you guys. But I'm going to go now and I will see you again very soon. To all the members, we will have a member stream again soon. Of course, last weekend or so, I couldn't. I had no voice. I got very sick from the Kershevsky. If you don't know what I'm talking about, just check out my previous live stream replays. Jessie Kershevsky, oh my goodness. Thank goodness her 25 page letter is now sealed. I mean, I'm so disappointed. When I heard it sealed, I'm like, really? Sealed, huh? Anyway, I've seen there's some articles about it. She's just, you know, listing the 16 reasons why she's not guilty. Whatever. So I'm just glad we don't have to read through that right now. I'm not ready for round 2 of Kershevsky flu. It was very sickening to read all that. So I will see you again soon, though. I'm always making something for you guys. And yeah, I've got my voice. Yeah, Rob says, sounds like your voice is a bit better. Again, happy birthday to Copper Horse. I hope you have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you so much for spending some of your birthday here with us. Copper Horse is one of our fantastic mods. If you want to spoil the mods, go to grizzlytruecrime.com. Hit the support page. You'll see all the ways to support the work I do. The number one way is PayPal, of course, it's direct. And then scroll down and you'll see there's a section there for moderators and you can say, buy the mods a coffee. If you go buy the mods a coffee there, those coffees get split equally between all the mods every quarter. So if you want to spoil them and say thanks, please do that over there. And I will see you again soon. Okay, bye everyone.